Folks, welcome to an all new episode of So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Friday episode. We did it. We made it to the end of the week. Congratulations. I'm coming at you. This is Thursday afternoon here in Los Angeles. I'm trying to do this early because I'm going to go see, I'm going to go see the Adele of Housewives, Shannon Bedore and Vicky Gunvalson live. And I hear there's going to be some special guests as well, but I have to drive like 2 hours out to Irvine to get to this show. But with art, that's not, I would drive 3 hours for this kind of art. So I'm looking forward to it. And I can't wait to share my experiences on the OC recap on Saturday. So tune in. By the way, did you see OC tonight? It was insane, right? When John Jansen was in the talking head with Alexis. And did you notice how John Jansen wasn't really properly lit, which leads me to believe that that was a last minute decision for him. So they just threw in a chair really quickly. But my God, like talk about seeing, like, it's like seeing a ghost. You're like, ugh. And then that last scene with Alexis where she takes away the charcuterie tray from Katie and Jen Pedranti because she's not invited on the England trip because of Shannon. Oh my God. Talk about doing like Alexis is doing so much. I mean, she's like, I only have such little time to work with. Nobody will really film with me. So when I'm on screen, I've got to throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. It might be completely insane to the audience, but I'm going to give it the old college try. She ends up like laughing hysterically or crying hysterically in most of her scenes. And I'm sorry, if you give Shannon Bedore an olive branch for her 60th birthday, that's nice. But also a good gift to keep in mind is dropping the lawsuit. That's a great olive branch. I mean, that is a proverbial olive branch is, oh, you're going to give us back the 75,000. Well, we will drop this lawsuit and everything will be peachy keen, right? I don't know why it's so simple in my mind. And yet when Alexis talks about it on places, it's like it's almost like she brings like freedom of speech and the Constitution in this. Like, no, we've got to fight. Johnny J will not be muzzled. Are we ever looking for Johnny J to talk even when he was with Shannon? I'm not looking for like a 7 years ago speech from Johnny J. Like, what? I don't need him to be muzzled, but I also don't need him to have any kind of voice on this show. I call me crazy. Like these house husbands, we had enough of them last week in OC. And, even in Salt Lake, we get little sprinklings and Jersey, out of control in terms of the men and their camera time. And we've grown to accept that, but I don't need Johnny J to campaign on Bravo against things allegedly done to him by Shannon. There's no part of me, there's no part of me that's even curious. But I will say it's kind of weirdly, this is how desensitized I am. It's like oddly entertaining to watch those scenes happen because you're like, man, this could all go away. All this crying and all this fuss, it could go away in a second. Like this could all just go away. And on top of it, you did not have to come back to the show. You wanted to come back to the show. And this is what happens in this season because you are dating. I know I'm talking to people that are already out there convinced the same way I am, but I just had to get it off my chest. I was watching, I was like, no way. And to go from that Tamara scene with the FBI and then to kind of just pick up of like, hey, we're at Shannon's. I don't want to cause any trouble. I'm like, you brought the FBI into it. Whew, thank God we are going to be on the mean streets of Salt Lake, or actually Milwaukee. The ladies of Salt Lake take a glamorous trip to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, home of Jeffrey Dahmer, home of the Bucks, the basketball team. I'm not a sports guy, so I was like, oh, the Bucks. That's a team that Milwaukee that they have. Amazing. This is so ridiculous, this episode in so many ways, on top of an already ridiculous season, but I'm loving it. I hope more people start watching Salt Lake this season because what you worry about first off with any of these shows is, are they good? And a lot of the times they're not, so this is good. So now I just want people to watch. You've built the house. Now we just got to invite people into it and get people watching this. Also, on that tip, Real Housewives of New York, I'll be talking about that more at the beginning of next week. I have not forgotten that that show exists, but I do want to remind people also, we're gearing up for Potomac on Sunday. Yeah, Karen and the gang come back. And like I told you earlier this week, the premiere starts off wildly where they have a dramatic reenactment of Karen Huger's DUI crash. It's so bizarre. But if that's what it takes to get people watching, I guess that's what it takes. We're in dramatic reenact. I want more dramatic reenactments of housewives scenes. Like, you know what? Sometimes you guys know, I rail against flashbacks because as the season continues in any housewife iteration, you get these like it's like 30 flashbacks within an episode. And like, guys, my long-term memory and my short-term memory are still working at such a level where I don't need to see like, it's almost like, see, here it is. This is what we're talking about right now. Do you remember this from 20 minutes ago or last episode? Yes, we remember. Give more time to the things actually happening right now as instead of reminding us. There's only so many times I can see, like, I'm trying to think, like, what's the most egregious one in this episode? Oh, we keep flashing back to Heather Gay being very suspicious of Bronwyn. And I'm like, I get it. We get it. Let's move on. You guys are all great extemporaneous speakers. Just speak off the cuff. We don't need these flashbacks. Let's move forward. But if you did dramatic reenactments, I would be more apt to change my opinion on that. If we had dramatic reenactments with actors reenacting the scenes that they flash back to, hell yeah, we could get some big names. Andy's got a deep Rolodex in terms of actors. So I think we could go anywhere on that. So we're going to be recapping Salt Lake City episode 3 in this episode. Check out this week's episode so far. We had a great documentarian director, Eric Nelson, on the show today. We had Sophie on Monday. What did we even have on Tuesday? I'm blanking. Also, I got to recommend you guys. I might put the first interview at the top of this show, but I don't know. There's a show on USA called The Anonymous, and it is like a reality competition series on steroids. It's really good though. And I just got into it and I've been interviewing a couple of people from the cast. But Xavier Prather, I interviewed a couple of days ago. He won Big Brother season 23. This guy is the real deal. And I only got to talk to him for like 22 minutes or something. But it was so great. I can't wait to talk to him again because I love when people talk about the gameplay in these competition reality series and the people that take it really, really seriously, which you can tell he does, but he has a good head on his shoulder. And it's just so fascinating that that's a job in 2024. Like you can just bounce around to competition reality series and that's a thing. And there's like really good game players out there that they eat, live, and breathe this stuff. Whew. Are you guys good? Are you good? It's Friday. I know it's been a week, right? But you're here. Let's have fun. Obviously, this is a family show, so I hope the family is gathered around the hearth as we talk about this show. Always remember, this is primarily for adults. We will talk about adult situations, use adult language. There's going to be a lot of horrible jokes. And if you are a housewife, do not listen to this podcast. Do not. You will eventually be hurt by something innocuous that I say that I have to remind people I don't know you personally. This is what I'm going for. This is the vibe that I get from the show. So this is my vibe check on people, and it can be completely different than you at home, your vibe check on them. This is how I see it. But especially for the housewives, no harm is meant. We're just looking to josh around, have some laughs, lull together, and then go about our busy lives. A couple pop culture stories before we get into everything. You guys, did you see this today? Man, we are really getting old. Get this. Eminem, the rapper Slim Shady, it was announced today that Eminem is going to be a grandfather. Haley in so many of Eminem's songs, she is pregnant. She's 28 years old. Eminem is only 51 years old. And there's a music video entitled Grandpa, and that's how she revealed the information to Eminem. And there's some really cute pictures of Marshall Mathers looking at the ultrasound and kind of looking shocked. But Eminem put this in his new music video for his song Temporary. and it has all these home videos of his daughter. And then at the end of the video, he shares the video that Haley Jade revealed to him that she's expecting her first baby with her husband, Evan McClintock. And they made him a blue football jersey that read Grandpa and number one on it. And I never thought in a million years when I was listening to the Marshall Mathers album, I never thought in a million years that I would somehow tear up thinking about Eminem being a grandpa. It wasn't even something, it wasn't even a thought that ever would have been in my head. But here we are. I'm like, Em's gonna be a grandma. We're all getting so old, but it's beautiful. It's so he's gonna be the best grandpa. So congratulations to Eminem. I know you're a huge fan of this podcast, and I'm a big fan of yours. So yeah, I love it. I can't wait to see Eminem as a grandpa. He's got to stop dyeing his beard though. He went from that platinum dye job he used to have to like jet black. And I used to do this with my beard. I've talked about this many times on the show. In fact, I put this on my Instagram the other day of when I just for men my beard, and I had my face had an allergic reaction to something in the Just for Men, and my face blew up like the Nutty Professor. And then me being an idiot, I did it 2 more times because I just didn't believe it the first time. But Eminem does the same thing. He dyes his beard, and there's just something that is so off about it. And I just say, let it go gray, man. Like I hate having white and gray hair, but I can't have my face blow up. And I don't know. Let's go gray and white together, Eminem. Let's get rid of that beard. In movie news, this is exciting. In September, they will start filming The Devil Wears Prada 2, sequel to the hit movie comedy The Devil Wears Prada. Now, everybody's coming back. Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Stanley Tucci, Emily Blunt. And I don't know what hijinks these guys are going to get into this time. But it's one of those things with sequels. And especially this is such a beloved movie and has just kind of grown in popularity over the years. You just want to make sure these things are done right. Meryl Streep giving her best Anna Wintour imitation and it was so amazing. You just hope that projects like these, it's not, I mean, obviously it's chasing the almighty dollar, but you hope that there's something more in it. You hope that they've got a good script. You hope that there is some sort of magic because you don't want to dilute the power of the original movie. And with a lot of sequels, that happens again and again and again. Okay, I told you guys yesterday that the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives got a season 2 pickup from Hulu, finally, but they revealed more information today. Now, they had like a 9-episode first season, 9 or 10 episode first season. And guess what? Second season, they have greenlit it for 20 episodes. What? 20 episodes? That's insane. That shows how much Hulu does believe in the show and how popular this show is. 20 episodes is a big series number. Now, remember, even Housewives have been whittling down to like 14 episode seasons in a lot of instances, and they're given 20 episodes. And it's like, yeah, strike while the iron is hot. My question was, is this 20? Because they said 20 episode season 2 pickup, but something in me tells me they're going to do season 2, season 3, 10, and 10 and just film it at the same time. But if they're doing a season 2 20 all alone and then a season 3 with 20, whoo, I truly wonder how many years these ladies have all locked in on their contracts for. Because usually you'll have to sign like a 3-year deal. So they potentially might not be making like a huge payday off of this. I'm really very curious about the contract negotiations with these women. And like I said yesterday, if there was any trepidation by any of the women coming back based on their experiences once the audience watched it and gave their feedback, especially Whitney's husband, Dakota, Taylor Frankie Paul's dude. Like, I'm just curious if they're all coming back and agreeing to come back, because I feel like we've only scratched the surface in a lot of these stories, and especially the stories of some of their men, which I'm sure will be filtered in through the second season as well. Okay, now this next story, this is heartbreaking for me to talk about, and I do want to give a gigantic trigger warning. This is not funny at all. This isn't meant to be funny, but I've talked about Garth Brooks a lot on this podcast over the years. I used to do a Garth imitation of his Facebook. Like he joined Facebook all of a sudden and released one of the most batshit crazy Facebook introductions to feed. Like, well, I guess it's official. Old Garth's on Facebook. Well, I want to post here. I want to post cool stuff, smart stuff. I mean, like it was just this wild speech. It looked like he was alone in a hotel room. It was very eerie. We joked about that for so many episodes on this show over the years. Now, this is not funny at all. This is the headline from CNN by Elizabeth Wagmeister. Garth Brooks accused of sexual assault and battery in lawsuit from hair and makeup artist who worked for him. And it's a Jane Roe. They're not revealing her name, said worked as a hairstylist and makeup artist for the country singer. And these alleged incidents occurred in 2019. She claimed she was once raped by Brooks during a work trip. Now, Brooks has previously denied this accuser's claims, and through representatives for the country superstar, they didn't immediately respond to CNN's request for comment. But prior to this new filing, it is revealed that Brooks knew about this and tried to block Roe from publicly repeating her allegations and fiercely denied the claims, according to a previous complaint he had filed as a John Doe. This lady began handling his hair and makeup in 2017, and she was first hired to do hair and makeup for his wife Trisha Yearwood in 1999. So I'm not sure how long of an association that was for. Yearwood's representatives didn't comment at all, but it's the specificity in some of these court papers, and I don't know if there's this. You always have to look at when the timing of these things are released. And I do wonder, in all of the Diddy information being revealed, if this is why this has been revealed at this time or why it's being brought back in terms of a court filing again. But it says it accuses Brooks of repeatedly exposing his genitals and buttocks, talking about sex, and sharing sexual fantasies with Roe, regularly changing his clothing in front of Roe and sending sexually explicit text messages. In her filing, Roe claims that during one alleged incident in 2019, when she was at Brooks' home for work, he walked out of the shower naked, grabbed her hands, and forced them onto his genitals while speaking to her with sexually explicit and vulgar language. And then another incident in May of 2019, she alleges that he raped her during a work trip to Los Angeles where he was taping a Grammy tribute performance. Said that he only booked one room when there should have been more rooms. And there is this other piece of this that I'm going to read, and it's really graphic. But in the docs, the woman claims that Garth held her this is direct quote, Garth held her 5-foot frame by her ankles and dangled her upside down as he penetrated her private area, slamming his penis inside her so hard she felt as if she were breaking in two. That's in the court document. So, man, can we just, anyways, Brooks' previous lawsuit defending himself says the defendant's allegations are not true. The defendant is well aware, however, of the substantial irreparable damage such false allegations would do to plaintiff's well-earned reputation as a decent and caring person, along with the unavoidable damage to his family and the irreparable damage to his career and livelihood that would result if she made good on her threat to publicly file her fabricated lawsuit. And they're saying that this is an act of desperation and attempted intimidation in order to receive money, saying that this was to receive money. And the complaint also states that Brooks' repeated remarks about having a threesome with his wife, with Miss Trisha. Oh my goodness. So we'll be finding more out about all of this. And I just wanted to share that with you guys. Really heartbreaking news to hear. And I guess Bravo teaches us you're innocent. You have to be, you're innocent until proven guilty. That's what I'm trying to say. This makes me nervous. And I don't know, and the victim, it's just a mess. So further details will be revealed, but that just is breaking news right now. And I wanted to share that with you. I hope I didn't bring down the vibe of the show. I'll be extra goofy here in this next part to bring the vibe back up. But man, Garth, oh my gosh, folks, there's breaking news all over the place. I just got an alert that TMZ is reporting they're doing a live press conference right now. We were just talking about the Menendez brothers on yesterday's episode. Well, I guess there is a major announcement by the LA County DA that is going to be happening as we speak right now. And it's going to be a major announcement. And we'll see if they are granted another trial, if they are going to throw this out completely, if they are going to be saying, hey, you served your 35 years, you can go now. I'm very curious, but they say the news conference is set for 2:30 p.m. It's 2:33 right now. So hopefully we'll find out some news as we join these ladies in Milwaukee, and we can update this case. And it just, I mean, Ryan Murphy, he did this interview where he said, "Oh, these guys owe me flowers because this is the most people have talked about this case in 30 years." I could, this has been a lot of help to them because they kind of came out against Monsters, this Netflix TV series, and strongly against this series. But Ryan Murphy, you don't have to say send him flowers. That's like just, it's bad. I don't know. Is that bad sportsmanship? It feels like it. But Ryan Murphy does have a point. I mean, there is a lot of eyes on the Menendez brothers again, and that can help, publicity, like PR, like anything, whether it be a reality star or murderers, can do so much for your case. Yeah, so I'm anxiously awaiting what we're gonna find out about that. Ooh, and while we were speaking about the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Hulu just emailed me actually with the official pickup information, and the first installment will be swinging into spring of 2025 on Hulu. So they are rushing this thing into production. But the wording of this press release says the first installment, so it does mean, by reading this, I take that to mean that they are splitting up those 20 additional episodes. The first season premiered with all 8 episodes Friday, September 6th. It is the most watched unscripted season premiere on Hulu this year, based on its first 3 days of streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus. According to recently released Nielsen data, the series is in Nielsen's top 10 original series for the week of September 2nd through 8th, ranking we're in October, ranking number 7 among streaming originals, despite only being available for 3 days of streaming during that interval. So it's saying just with these numbers alone, um, and Rob Mills, the executive vice president of unscripted and alternative entertainment at Walt Disney Television, said, quote, there was a philosophical question raised in season 1, which was, can Mom Talk survive this? The answer is unequivocally is yes. Spring 2025, get your dirty sodas ready. I love this guy has worked his entire career and he's putting out a press release with the words, get your dirty sodas ready, everybody. And yeah, everybody's coming back. Taylor, Demi, Jen, Jesse, Layla, Macy, Michaela, and Whitney. So congratulations. It's really hard to launch reality television in this day and age, even though we have so many stations and streaming and all of that stuff. I'm waiting to see if they pick up Dance Moms for a season 2, which was also on Hulu. That show was very wacky, but also weirdly bingeable. Did you guys check that out? I had the lead lady on it like a month and a half ago or something. Go back and listen to that if you watched the new iteration of Dance Moms. Okay, is it time? Do we get into this? I don't even mentally, how do we mentally prepare to go to the mean streets of Salt Lake? To go to a place where John Waters and David Lynch would say, this is even too much for us. This is a little too crazy. In this episode, we have Milwaukee. We have Alibaba brought up. Whitney could be selling not counterfeit, but bargain basement jewelry at markup prices. And of course, Meredith is the one behind this. Mary, as a man, we will get to this point, and I will beg you to fast forward because I will have a genuine reaction to Mary saying that she can hold her pee in by stuffing herself with a tampon. And I will tell you my honest reaction when I heard this when we get to that part. Heather, just right off the top, Heather's in a weird place right now because she's that reliable narrator character. She's insanely popular, but I feel like her jokes, especially in the talking heads, are not landing. Like, it's like, like they almost get there. Am I alone in this? And I really am not trying to knock Heather, but sometimes it's so shticky that we're like, we get it. You think you're the funny one. I get it. Yep. You're the one. Hey, waka waka. And it's like, leave that to us podcaster goofballs. You just be you. And I sometimes wonder if Heather is in kind of a no man's land of trying to figure out who she is within the confines of this show now, and especially with this popularity. Because if you remember, season one, Heather Gay was very different, and you really rooted her for her because you sensed her insecurity, which I think we all grapple with in some way. And now I feel like a lot of that is gone, and it's been replaced by this different reality star that truly is a star. Her second book comes out in December. I mean, she, receipts, proof, timeline, we got it, like iconic. So much that I think it changes how you perceive yourself and also how you perceive the women you work with and your relationship with the audience. And not only does she not trust, reality Von Teese and Monica Garcia, I don't think she trusts a lot of us. I think she's a fan of these shows. She knows these shows like the back of her hand. She is a Bravo fan from even before she started filming with Salt Lake. And so is Whitney. And sometimes with that, when you've studied a show so much, or it's been part of your actual life, when you find yourself on this, there's this Truman Show-esque quality that sometimes doesn't necessarily encourage realness or reality. And I don't know. You can just tell, like, she's so paranoid about interlopers coming in this group. And also with the Bronwyn of it all, very offended by the end of this episode that Bronwyn kind of like said, hey, this is a two-way street. It goes both ways. I've got to be able to say things around you in a joking way and not you go run and tell people. And Heather did not like that. If you want to, like, 5 seasons in, Heather was like, who do you think you're talking to? Hey, this ain't Mary Cosby. This is Heather Gay. We got a lot going on, including Meredith, her caviar. We had a little Seth cameo. She's converting to Judaism so much. And Angie, we do fun facts about these characters every week, and I try to bring something new to you guys every episode because I don't want to ever shortchange you, and I want to show you guys that I'm putting in the work. And I was doing an ancestry.com on Angie Katsunavis. I'm going to pull up the results right here. This is going to blow you away. Okay, buckle up. Angie, she has a Greek heritage. Yeah, like ancestry.com. It says she's 150% Greek. And you wouldn't know it because she never wears anything Greek. She's never waving a Greek flag or has made special sunglasses with the Greek flag or made it her Housewives tagline. She's never spoken about it before. So when I did this digging and I reached out for a comment, and I just think they're dodging the question right now because I was like, hey, Angie, are you Greek? And there's no response. And I feel like they're hiding something. But I can assure you with everything that I have that this woman is Greek as the day is long. And I just want her to take some pride in it. I want her to claim it. And I want her to make it her entire persona and personality. Man, this is what shows you got to hang in on these shows too if you're on the show because I went through my rough moments with Angie K last season, but man, I'm so happy she's here. Like, you grow to love these people. That's why I even say it's like, don't listen if you're a housewife, because at the end of the day, especially with Salt Lake, I love all of them. I do. I have really strong opinions about all of them. But at the end of the day, like, I rarely agree with Lisa Barlow, but my God, I would defend her right to be Lisa Barlow 24/7. I adore her as a housewife. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? But man, is she entertaining to watch. And I love how much she says she loves herself. Like, I'm like, God, what a talent to love yourself that much and to fiercely love your family. And like, her son in this episode has a tummy ache on his mission. And she's even worried about that. I'm like, dude, the guy's just probably pounding too much espresso at these like amazing coffee shops you tell us he's going to, or like the Michelin star restaurant. He's just probably for the first time in his life eating non-fast food. And it's got to upset the stomach because that dude's been conditioned to just eat tacos, Taco Bell and Wendy's and wash it down with a big gulp of Diet Coke. Like, of course the kid's having stomach aches. It's called withdrawals. Lisa, I love you. I love you. And I love your family. I do. Let me make my jokes. Okay. This episode, you guys, we're only episode 3 into season 5. And this one, beautiful title, Basketball, Bobbleheads, and the Brow Girl. And I said last week when I read this title, I was like, man, this almost sounds like a murder mystery. I'm like, wow, like did the brow girl do it? And of course, you realize they go to a basketball game, they go to a bobblehead museum, and there's information from Angie K's brow girl about Brittany and her situationship with the Osmond guy. But my God, what a beautiful title. Now, Peacock always short thrifts us on the description the cable companies give out. Now, DirecTV, I found, always does like a 3 to 4 line description, but Peacock always, it feels like it cheaps out. They're like, Whitney takes the women on a girls' trip to Milwaukee. That's it. One sentence. Like, can we zhuzh it up a little bit? Like, Whitney takes the women on a girls' trip to fabulous Milwaukee. And then, like, sites include Bobblehead Museum, Jeffrey Dahmer's old haunts, basketball. Like, we could really bring people in on Peacock if you let me handle the descriptions. I mean, come on, I would write just like a 10-page description. It would just like the show. So yeah, that's this week's episode. Did we do it? Are we done? Are we No, we haven't even started. Okay, I'm going to check on the Menendez brothers real quick, and then I'm going to come back. We're going to start. I promise. Okay, so we got a little bit more information in regards to the Menendez. The LA County is saying that they are reviewing the new evidence that they have been presented with, and they are not ready at this time to make a decision. But it sounded like from that first part of the press conference that a lot of things truly are on the table, including time served, resentencing, or a new trial. Now, the 2 new pieces of information, guys, I know this is all over the place because it's Salt Lake, but come on, it's pop. It's a mashup. The 2 new pieces of information was the letter that he had been writing with a cousin where he acknowledged the abuse that was happening with his father, and a member of Menudo, who Eric and Lyle Menendez's father represented or, worked with at RCA Records, came forward and said he was sexually assaulted by Mr. Menendez when he was younger. So these 2 new pieces of information, they said they have not fact checked these stories or corroborated the evidence yet. So they still have to go through that. But he even made a point. He said in his time at this job, they have resentenced over 300 people. And only out of the 300 people, only 3 had gone on to commit any other crimes since resentencing, which, he said, which was a really good number in terms of recidivism, which I'm guessing that means, when you resentence somebody, if they go on to actually, still have a life of crime after prison. So this is a real possibility. And no wonder Kim Kardashian went and visited a bunch of prisoners, 2 of them being the Menendez brothers last weekend. She wants to get in on the heat. She's like, yeah, we're part of the Ryan Murphy family. I'm doing All's Fair, his new legal show. Man, Kim trying to get her name in there right near the release. Man, if Kim's there on their day of release, we've got a new season of the Kardashians, folks. It's insane how much pop culture and true crime now intersect on a weekly basis. It's wild. I mean, and we just had that Garth Brooks story. We have the Diddy case. I mean, so many things happening within the legal system. I mean, it went from Bravo with the Tom Girardi of it all, and Jen Shaw being actually sentenced to prison. And now it's like these bigger names, and then murder trials becoming pop culture. It's, as I always say, a very tangled web, and I'm hoping to walk you through all of it as we go on. They wrote back from Hulu. Great, Ryan. Thanks. We're going to be in touch for more interview opportunities in the spring. Hell yeah. Mormon Wives. Come on back, baby. Come on back to So Bad It's Good. Oh my God. Douche chills all over my body when I said that. Can you tell I'm exhausted? I did this thing last night where I didn't sleep. I was in bed at 11. I finished up the show in bed at 11 and just winding down with some TikTok. And I fell asleep, I think around 3:30. Like, and I had so much anxiety about today because I had to wake up, do like 3 interviews back to back, and then therapy. And then I knew I had to do this. And then I have to go in Vicky and Shannon. And I think and it was kind of an intense day for some personal stuff as well. And it was just so much. I think I just sat there in bed for 4. I mean, the TikTok was happening, but like I said, don't listen. I'm not going to put my phone down. Like, it's my body. My body will just pass out when it passes out. But it's so frustrating when those moments happen, or as Lisa Barlow would say, frustrating. It's so frustrating when that happens, when you're actually in the bed and you're like, you wish your body could shut off like a computer, like you just turn yourself off. And then you're like, okay, good. If I fall asleep now and get 6.5 hours, and then you just turn yourself back on in the morning, we've got to figure out a way to do that with us at some point. Humanity depends on it. We have some information coming in regards to Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This is ratings. Now, last week, they got bumped up in terms of their second episode. They have a 0.397 with a 0.13 in the 18 to 49 demo. If you listen to the show, the 18 to 49 demo is the demo that advertisers love to advertise to. So they got a 0.13 in that, 0.397 million viewers, which was up 200,000, I think, from the previous week, the series premiere. Now, remember, a lot of TV on Wednesday, so we don't have the adjusted numbers with Peacock, but I'm sure it's going to leap a gigantic number when we do. But this week's episode, or last night's episode, we have a 0.325. So we went down. We went down a couple 100,000, and we only have a 0.11 in the 18 to 49 demo. So sadly, I don't know I mean, we're making other choices on our Wednesday evening, and I don't know if we're making the right choices. You guys got to tune in. You can even notice it on Twitter. Not like it's not as fun when we're all not there, like tweeting together and sending out each other snarky comments. Or maybe it is good. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Who knows? Also, thank you to a listener that provided me with some amazing information. You know that Seth Marks. I'm Seth Marks. How are you doing? I used to work in Canton, Ohio, but now I have accepted a position in Columbus, Ohio, where Ryan Bailey was birthed. We have this. This is great. There is a internet sleuth that is alleging, everything I say now is alleging that Seth Marks is a VP for, drumroll please, Big Lots. Yeah, and Big Lots is headquartered in Columbus, Ohio. Hell yeah. An internet sleuth noticed his hat and folder on the show this week, and it was blurred out, but the orange exclamation point matches the Big Lots logo. Look up corporate and boom. Wow. This person that gave me this information says closeout merchandising doesn't quite match the Marks aesthetic. I think it does. I'll tell you this. I went shopping with my mom at Big Lots all the time, and I got like a 5-foot vase that I still have. It's in storage in Burbank right now. I got it for like $40. This thing is 5 foot, really hefty too. And Big Lots, so many amazing memories from Big Lots. In fact, Danny Pellegrino, his latest book is out in paperback this week. It's called the Jolliest. Oh God, sorry, you guys. I'm so tired. What's good? The Jolliest Bunch. Great book. I highly recommend it, especially for the holidays. Put it out with your holiday decorations. It's a conversation piece. But Danny, in one of his books, has this great story about a couch he bought at Big Lots, which still makes me laugh to this day. Danny Pellegrino, God, so talented. But Big Lots, listen, I will say, I think it does fit Seth's aesthetic. I'm going to take something old and I'm going to make it new again. I'm going to make it sexy. I've noticed Big Lots getting sexier in the last year. And I think we can attribute that to one and only Seth Marks. And no wonder he doesn't have time for the Meredith Marks podcast. He's busy rehabbing Big Lots in Columbus, Ohio. But I will say it is funny because Meredith goes so hard for Whitney about selling Alibaba jewelry in this episode. Do you think there's going to be a storyline where Whitney's like, I found out that Seth works at Big Lots where they resell not used merchandise. What do you have to say about that, Meredith? Like, well, is that going to be a storyline as well? So exciting. So many things happening. Okay, I guess we have to do this. We have to get in the episode. Let's go. Okay, so last week, like I said, we had so many things happening, but it ended pretty much with them all kind of arguing. They all teamed up against Whitney again, but also Brittany got into it with Mary and others about her situationship with the Osmond relative, who doesn't, the mystery of this, we're going to read some text messages or some DMs from this Jared Osmond guy, because he is making it known that I don't think he is enjoying his time being talked about on television. And I'm so confused how you break up 17 times in 7 months regardless. And also, just imagine in a 7-month period of time, your partner deciding to go on reality television and then making you the storyline. And she thinks he has claimed her because he put her in a Costco grocery cart. And then they took pictures and said, I'm shopping at Costco with my best friend. That's not necessarily going Instagram official. Are there rules for Instagram official? Is there something in the Instagram bylaws that proves when somebody has gone official? There should be a box you check or something. But I will say, I even was like, that's not official. That says best friends. That says no. And that's no. And you should not just leave. He's not going to make that decision. So you need to leave, Brittany. And I still like Brittany at this point. But I'm getting confused. I'm getting confused. And I hope Brittany is not trying to control any sort of narrative or just try to create a storyline so she can be featured on this show, because I think it has to happen naturally, right? I think Bronwyn's already fitting in really well. We open up on beautiful Salt Lake City. We see people, running through the mean streets of Salt Lake in the snow. And we are at Whitney's place. And Justin, her husband's like, hey, how's it going? And she's like, I'm just trying to find anything pink, Milwaukee-esque, drag-esque, horror-esque. And Justin's like, yeah, when you first told me you were going to Milwaukee in February, I was like, oh my God, you must hate these girls. Yeah, Justin, that's it. That's the bit. She does. They all do. They all hate each other. That's exactly it. Like, I swear to God, like the next cast trip is going to be at like Alcatraz or something. Like, do you guys like rat infested waters? Well, guess what? We're going to Alcatraz. But Justin's like, what are you going to Milwaukee for? And we flash back to Whitney explaining to the girls. This is our first flashback of the episode, explaining to a nonplussed Lisa Barlow. She's like, Trixie Mattel booked me to host a drag night at her event in Milwaukee. And Angie K's like, Milwaukee? Angie, you've got the job. You're not being kicked off. You're a full-time cast member. You don't need to go that hard for Milwaukee. And then in the scene with Justin, when he's like, I'm glad Heather put together the ropes course because it brought all of us together. And then we flash back to the ropes course where Brittany is telling Mary, shut up. And Mary, in an off-kilter, like yellow hoodie, she's like, shut me up. Shut me up. And then Bronwyn going, everything I've learned about you so far feels chaotic AF, Brittany. And then Whitney says, the fact that you've been a shitty friend, Lisa Barlow. And Lisa Barlow goes, you're a shitty friend. You're a shitty friend. And then Meredith hops in, and I feel ashamed, Whitney. I feel you've been a shitty friend. So Whitney in this scene with Justin goes, I'm just glad we're all back. Like we're in a place where we can go. And Justin just smiles and he's like, good. Like these are those scenes between husband and wife where you know you have to film something and they both know that everybody hates each other, but you're like, yeah, hon, loving the new house we're in. Let's keep this train going, you know? We cut from that. We have some fun choral music like and we go over to like where are we at now? Oh, we're at Meredith's rental, and Seth Marks goes, I'm very busy with Big Lots in Columbus, but I must ask you, Meredith, where are you all going? And she's like, Whitney wants us all to come to Milwaukee. This set off 8,000 red flags. And then we flash back to the first episode 2 weeks ago where Meredith is confronting Whitney going, you launched necklaces last year, and then you launched a bath line this year after I said I was doing it. The message I'm getting from you is I don't want to be your friend. That's the message I'm getting, Whitney. Now, Seth in this scene kicks into like Professor Positive vibe, and Seth's like, yeah, spend time with Heather and Lisa, who are evolving with you. That's what you got to do, evolve. To me, Whitney is like high school algebra with big old knockers. You got to pay no attention to it. So he did a little dad joke there. It's like high school algebra. You don't even study. Don't pay any attention to it. Yeah, just wait for lunch break. And Meredith is kind of lightly chuckling. She's like, Seth, you always know the creepy thing to say. Thank you. Thank you. I like Meredith's closed mouth laugh to go. More shots of the wintry white tundra that is Salt Lake. And now we go over to Bronwyn's fortress. And her very rich husband goes, so is the plane big enough for all of the egos that are going on there? And Bronwyn says, and all the fights and all the attitude? And Bronwyn's like, I don't think so. And we flash back to Heather Gay after the ropes course going, you were saying terrible things about Whitney, Bronwyn. You were being two-faced to Lisa and like two-faced to Whitney. And Bronwyn tells her husband, like, I didn't need Lisa to defend me, but I was pretty shocked she didn't. And he's like, well, if you want to be friends, you have to give it another chance. I like when the house husbands are like still relatively normal and giving like decent advice. Well, you got to give it a chance. You gotta make it work. You can't just, make a rash decision. And so this whole time she is packing for the trip in what looks like a room that is just filled with amazing couture pieces, fashion books. I'm seeing some like collectible Barbie dolls in the background. And she is wearing some kind of expensive Lisa Rinna tie-dyed moment that I'm sure cost thousands of dollars. She asked her husband if she should pack this hand that's like bedazzled with like jewelry on it. She's like, should I pack this because it can be a peace sign when I arrange the fingers like this, but it can also be a middle finger. And he's like, I think that's very appropriate. Are we done with the scene yet? Can I go back to researching Palm Pilots? Okay. So we get out of that scene and now we go over to Mary Cosby and it's amazing. We can peek into her bedroom and you guys, this Mary is after my own heart. This is how I keep my spaces. It's just cluttered. I'm like, it looks like it's 4:06 by the clock. You see at the mirror, to the right of the mirror, there's like this big, it looks like a magazine, but it says Jesus on it. Oh, I think that's like a Time magazine, but it says Jesus. So that's something that Mary wanted to have out. See a bunch of baseball caps, a MacBook computer near her bed. I'm seeing some Aquaphor, I believe. We have a Stanley. I mean, this thing is just littered. I need more pictures of Mary's domicile. But Mary is talking to Heather, and Mary is saying, I was calling to let you know that I will be there. Oh, sorry, she's talking to Whitney. And Whitney's like, okay, but I'm going to really go by myself. And Mary's like, you know how I fly, Whitney. Like, I know you got a private plane, and I know all 19 of you are going to be on that plane. And it becomes, flight 119. I mean, the 19, I get what she's saying, but then Mary will always say, like, two things, like, yeah, yeah. And then the third thing, you're always like, what? Like, it'll become flight 119. Is flight 119 like a flight that crashed or something? Like, was it like, if it is, like, good memory on Mary, but she's like, well, all 19 of you guys are going to be on that with all your 19 things. And then it'll be flight 119. No, it's just going to be a full flight, you know? And when he's like, what do you want me to tell the girls? And Mary goes, tell them I'm there with them in spirit, bobblehead. Like they got their flight and I really got my own. And when he goes, if it was anyone else, I'd give him a hard time. And Mary goes, Mary, who has given Mary the happy pills this season? Like Mary has been so, like you would almost think she's team building at moments just because of the Mary Cosby we've seen in the past. But she's laughing, she's smiling, she's laughing at Whitney for the love of God. Last season, she had a horrific scene with Whitney at a dinner table, and now we're laughing. And Whitney's kind of poking fun at Mary, and Mary's actually accepting that poke. This is love can build a bridge. I mean, truly incredible and inspiring to see. So, guys, that's when we get to our first Housewives taglines of the season. And it's Heather Gay first. And Heather goes, don't play me. I've got the receipts, the proof, and the screenshots. All these voiceovers, by the way, feel like they're recorded in different rooms. The sound quality is different on each one. Now we go to Meredith next. And Meredith goes, I'm known for my tub. And this year I'm bathing in glory. And Seth Merck's ball sweat. There is a picture of Seth and her hugging, which what looks like to be her bat mitzvah later in the season. So that's Meredith's tagline. And then we go to Bronwyn, and Bronwyn's like, the only muted thing you'd find in my wardrobe is my black card. I'm rich. And then Angie K knocking it out of the park. She's like, you may have been in a sorority, but I'm Greek for life, baby. And she hits the bait. She goes, baby. That's right, baby. And then Whitney's next. And she's like, on my healing journey, I always travel first class to Milwaukee. And then Mary shuts it down. Mary turns around smiling in the talk. And she's like, God is my shepherd, and you all look like sheep. Flight 119. Mary, that's like a perfect tagline. And you almost like, God is my shepherd. Like, do you think God is up there going like, fuck, she name dropped me? Like, oh my God. She publicly ignored, you know how good that feels up here? Like, I'm so busy. I'm failing all over the place. So much is happening. And then I go to watch my stories on Wednesday night and I am shouted out in Mary Cosby's housewife tagline. Like, listen, I'm not in heaven and all this stuff for the accolades, but it's sometimes nice to be included in a tagline. And then we go to Lisa Barlow and she's like, tequila is my livelihood and my lifestyle is always top shelf. And then we have the full, this is what's weird. Like each of these separate pictures of these ladies are updated pictures. But then when they do the title card, all the ladies holding the snowflake, you have Angie K in the middle. You have an old picture of Heather Gay on the left. You have Bronwyn inserted in. This thing is just this is like me doing Photoshop. It's like, we know we have new pictures for a lot of these ladies. Why aren't we using the new one for Heather? And how did Heather Gay go from the middle to the end? And now Angie K is in the middle. What does Angie K do this season that she deserves the middle in this title card? It's something big's happening. It's got to be. That's how they go. That's how they do these things. Anyways, music comes up, more shots of Salt Lake, and we are outside Angie K's house. And Angie K's husband, Sean, comes in with the baseball cap, like, fully buff with a cup of coffee. He's like, hey, how's it going? How's it going? Hey, I'm checking in. How's it going? And you see in the background, there are these kind of Sheena Shea-esque prints of photos. And you see Angie K and her daughter and her husband, and they look like, is it a donkey? I'm freeze framed on it right now, you guys. They're with a donkey in this family photo. And this is what hangs up in their bedroom, like so Sheena Shea coded. Anyways, he's like, how's it going? And she's like, how was your workout? I'm Greek. He's like, good workout. Good sweat. It was really good. Good. And she's like, good. And he's like, well, looks like you're getting ready, huh? And he's like, you got to see what I got. Sean, check this out. Oh my God. Check this out, Sean. And she comes in with these huge windshield wiper glasses with what I'm being told is the Greek flag across them. And she's like, just in case we meet the Greek freak. And I was like, oh my God, is Diddy Greek? Like, I didn't even know what Greek freak meant, but I was like, aren't you the Greek freak, Angie? But then I was so confused. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, doesn't look like he loves the joke. He's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you did. What you're doing with the glasses there. Yeah. And Angie's like, you never know. Like, we're going to Milwaukee. And he's like, where did you get those? No, really, we got to talk about how you're spending the money. Where did you get those? And she's like, I had them made. And he's like, oh. And she's like, do you like them? And he just pauses. And Angie's like, everyone's a fan of the Greek freak. So I could just wear these. I guess the Greek freak is a star basketball player for the Bucks, number 34. And she's like, I could just wear these on the streets of Milwaukee. And he's like, you think Giannis will see you? I guess Giannis is the guy's name. And she's like, you think Giannis will see me a mile away? And he's like, he'll see you. Yeah, he'll see you with those glasses. All right. Okay, well, how do you feel about the trip, Angie? And she's like, I'm excited. I think it'll be fun. I'm invited this time. Remember, first group trip of the season was Palm Springs at Trixie Mattel's motel, and she wasn't like officially invited when was it Meredith hosting that? Anyways, Angie goes, I'm like packing the whole house, which is like just a bunch of I imagine it's like a bunch of clothes and then just a whole separate suitcase with Greek paraphernalia. Like, do we need all of this? It's just like, yeah, like there's a poster for my big fat Greek wedding in one of the suitcases. Like, you never know. The Streets of Milwaukee. You never know. People love that movie. I'm Greek. And so she's like, yeah, I'm packing the whole house for 2 days for a 2-day trip. And then Sean sits down on the bed. He's like, serious talk. How do you feel about Lisa at this point? How do you feel about Lisa Barlow? And Angie's like, our lunch wasn't very productive. Like, she walked out on the lunch. And when somebody says, like, oh, she walked out on the lunch, I'm like, already in my mind, I'm like, oh, flashback time. And we flash back to that lunch where Lisa ends it quickly and goes, you know what, Ange? If everyone wants to think I'm a fucking villain and a bitch and I'm self-centered, I don't really care anymore. And Angie's like, I don't think that's what and then she's like, I'm over it. Hope we can continue this conversation. And she gets up and Angie's like, bye, Lisa, and watches her walk away. I do have to say, though, when I initially watched this scene, the way this couch is set up, it looked like the door to exit was to the right, but Lisa gets up and exits to the left. So either they had to take her mic off or like the staging is weird. I know that's just a little detail that sticks out of my head. I'm sure you guys all noticed as well. Angie lets Sean know, me and Lisa, we haven't spoke. So I'm hoping we can find time to actually talk to each other. But I have one little thing that's kind of weighing on me. It's this big Greek medallion I got for the trip. No, she says, Brittany, who you haven't met yet, Sean, she's got this whole like on again, off again situation with her boyfriend. But my brow girl was telling me that he's like sending her DMs and Sean's like, oh man, well, I know what that's. Oh, man. And Angie's like, and commenting in her DMs and wanting her to call him. In a talking head, she says, my brow girl tells me that she is getting overly friendly, flirtatious texts from Jared Osmond. You want the flirtatious text from Donnie Osmond. That's the big Osmond. Like Jared, like, no offense, Jared. So Angie says, my brow girl asked me, like, are Brittany and this guy together? And Sean just looks fascinated. And Angie in a talking head says, I could read you the DMs. So she had posted a little like hot little photo of herself, Angie says. And he said, oh, you are so fun. And by the way, we see the photo pop up and it's Jared Osmond, but this girl, it is, I mean, it's like, you can see the boobage, the cleavage area, you know, like you see the boob, like, it's a little bit of I don't know why, it's a little bit of a thirst trap, right? Also, I will say with Angie's phone, you can notice it's like 5% battery power. So we got to charge that, Angie. We got to stop with the packing and charge the phone. But this photo is like thirst trap. And he goes, oh, you are so fun. Gross. Okay. So Angie says, my friend said, I actually am a little bit of a handful. And then he said, do tell with a little tongue out emoji. And then Angie does the tongue out in the talking head. She goes, eh. I'm like, now I can visualize it, even though they had the screenshot up there. And Sean's like, well, I mean, is Brittany, maybe she's taking it more serious than he is kind of thing. And Angie's like, sounds like she is. And she's actually really sweet, Sean. He's like, right. So I'm not sure if I should say something and just like give her a heads up. Like I said, I just don't know her well enough that I don't know if it's my place. He's like, yeah, well, I'm falling asleep during this conversation. So I think that's what the show is about. So I probably have to. Angie says, I feel really bad for Brittany. I know what it's like to have people talk about your relationship. And then we flash back to last year, 1 year earlier, where we see Monica Garcia so far having appeared in every episode in some fashion this season. Monica going, the rumor is that Sean likes to beep other men. Now, I haven't heard the unedited, but I think it's the F-U-C-K word. And told this to Angie in front of Whitney. Now, Angie in a talking head says, but Brittany's clearly in love with Jared Osmond, and I don't want to see her get hurt. I do trust my brow girl, though. No, she goes, I do like her. So, I mean, I think if the opportunity arises in Milwaukee, I'll say something. He goes, yeah, I think you should. I got to be a girl's girl, Sean, and let her know. We see a bunch of just Greek merchandising, like just thrown around her bed. We get a shot of the clouds where God is, have some upbeat, fun music. Oh, fun. Salt Lake is fun. And we hear an alarm blaring at 4 a.m. And these ladies got to all go to the Provo airport. We see Whitney, Heather walking into the airport, Lisa strolling her own luggage. Like she doesn't need people. Lisa can do it herself. We see Bronwyn arrive for her first cast trip. Brittany arrive, and Bronwyn comes out, and Lisa's there to greet her. And Lisa goes, good morning. How are you? And goes in for the hug. But now Bronwyn, remember, she's like, I don't know if I can trust Lisa Barlow anymore. So she doesn't fully hug her yet. And Lisa's like, oh my gosh, we're just waiting to take off. Do you need help with anything? And she's kind of giving Lisa a little bit of like the silent treatment. And Lisa's like, no, you're good. Okay. And it's really awkward. In a talking head, Bronwyn goes, I am very hurt. And in her talking head, it looks like she's wearing two ostriches on her shoulders in this kind of white blazer with what looks like a bunch of evil eye jewelry all over. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, this her costuming, her couture, sorry, not her couture. I mean, hands down, winning the seat. Like nobody's even in contention. Like this is all Bronwyn at this point. But she's like, I am very hurt by Lisa. Lisa and I have been friends for years, but I left the ropes course feeling like she did not have anything to say in my defense. And then we do another flashback where Heather goes, on our Wednesday drive with Lisa, you were team fucking Lisa. And we're saying horrible things about Whitney. And Bronwyn's like shaking her head after the ropes course. And Lisa goes, Bronwyn, you were snarky about it too. And that's where Bronwyn goes, Zoinks, what? My friend turning against me? Who would have thunk it on a housewife show? Lisa goes, I was worried, Bronwyn. I'm like, she didn't bounce, did she? Is she not coming? Bronwyn says, I feel very uncomfortable going on a trip with friends through Lisa and feeling like I'm not friends right now with Lisa. We see all the ladies hugging Bronwyn. And Bronwyn, by the way, is wearing what looks like the amazing Technicolor dream coat. And then if you look closer, I mean, it's this beautiful coloring. It just looks so fancy. And then you can see like the Beatles in their Sergeant Pepper's outfits etched in the back of this coat. Heather gives Bronwyn a kid. By the way, Bronwyn was a little startled because yeah, she came off this ropes course afterwards, this fight, and then everybody's like just acting like nothing happened. Like you get desensitized as a housewife. Bronwyn, you are still in that scene. These people are already moved on. So yeah, just dust that dirt off your shoulder. Now, the last to arrive is Meredith. She comes in looking very put together, and she's like, "Good morning, good morning." And when he goes, Meredith, and Meredith goes, bright and early, bright and early. Hi, everybody. Whitney goes, I didn't even know if Meredith was going to make it, but days before the trip. And she laughs. She's like, I get this text from Meredith. And Whitney does a Meredith imitation. So this is me doing Whitney doing Meredith. Hi, 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 Whitney. I moved some hands around to come to Milwaukee. Thank you, XOXO. And then she goes, thank you, Meredith. I love that Whitney is not thrown by these ladies anymore. Like, listen, one of my guests this week, Dan Allegretto, said Whitney potentially has a lot to answer for, but I love her. I love her too. I mean, and I like that she is not getting thrown. Her healing journey is working. So they're saying, is everybody's bags okay? Mary's going to meet us, so let's go. And then Angie goes, let's do it, Milwaukee. Once again, man, it's 4 a.m. Let's tone it down, Angie. You're not going anywhere. You're on the show. Whitney shouts out, Salt Lake City's first private jet. Woo! And we see a private jet that they all get on. They're all greeting the captain. And I think it's Bronwyn that says, it doesn't show who it's either Angie or Bronwyn, but it says, I normally have to take a Xanny on flights, which is street lingo for Xanax, you guys. And at that point, I always thought that's like, Meredith's like, what'd you say? Hey, somebody say Xanny? So they all take off. They're all like toasting mimosas. It does, I will say, to Mary's credit, it looks like a crowded flight. It looks very crowded. When he's like, we're up to a good start with our mimosas. The plane is in the air. We see it traveling. Everybody's like, oh, it's so cute in Milwaukee as they land. Oh, it's so cute. We see FedEx planes. We see Black Line limousines with a huge Sprinter bus van ready to pick these ladies up. Which, by the way, the last time there was a big Sprinter van, one of the last times, was on their Palm Springs trip. And I do want to bring this point up just because I think it shows growth. Is last year at this time, Heather Gay had too many espresso martinis, and she threw up and pissed at the same time. It's just a fun fact. It's a fun fact. It's wild. It's wacky stuff. Wacky stuff. By the way, we haven't seen Heather Blackout since that episode. Am I correct? She's like, time to keep it together. Yeah. So all the girls are like, Milwaukee. And Whitney's like, do you see the tower, Heather? And Heather goes, I don't know what to look at. I'm so excited. I mean, it seems like they genuinely are excited. We see the Tower of Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Public Market, Usinger's famous sausage place. I'm probably saying that wrong. Now, this is where Heather, I feel, starts trying too hard in the talking head because the producer goes, can you give me the correct pronunciation of Milwaukee? And Heather goes, Milwaukee. Milwaukee. And she goes, I learned that when I watched Wayne's World. And Gene Simmons spoke of Milwaukee. And we see a picture of Gene Simmons, but it wasn't Gene Simmons. She goes, I meant Alice Cooper. And then we see a picture of Alice Cooper. She goes, honest mistake. I had mentioned the Wayne's World reference last week because that was the first thing I thought of like Milwaukee. It was just, I love Wayne's World. What a great movie. Heather starts spitting out Milwaukee facts. The Badger State. That's its nickname, the Badger State. Heather in a talking head says, he also taught me that Milwaukee means the good land in Algonquin. Angie K says, where are the mountains? Where are the plains? Where are they? Where is it in this beautiful Milwaukee? We pull up to the Kin guest house where they're staying. Actually, not them. It's Mary. Mary stumbles out of her. We don't see how Mary, what if Mary just took a Southwest flight? She just didn't want to be on the private jet, but she stumbles out of this town car and she goes, I love Milwaukee. And she stumbles out. She's like fully masked, fully sunglass, like hood over. And she goes, Milwaukee. It just kind of makes me think about my dad, because my dad is from Milwaukee and we see a photo up of her dad. And I was like, oh, this is really nice. Like learning something about Mary's family. And he goes, and then she drops this truth bomb. She goes, and he actually used to live like a street away from Jeffrey Dahmer. And every time he would go to work, he would smell a smell. And he always said, where's that smell coming from? And like maybe like a week later, they arrested Jeffrey Dahmer. He saw the whole thing go down. I think he was just being nosy, she says, but he saw it. You got, what have we done to deserve such blessings as Mary Cosby telling us a story about her father was potentially involved in knowing that something was a little off about this Jeffrey Dahmer. There was always a weird smell. And we do know the Cosbys come from a long line of being able to smell everything. Mary, in fact, is able to smell hospital. We found that out in the first season. So these people, it's like they're just they have the scent of a hunting dog. But the fact, I have to go back now. Maybe I will watch that Monster Jeffrey Dahmer story just to see if Mary Cosby's dad is somewhere in it. I love the fact that Mary Cosby's dad was just walking around and goes, this doesn't smell right. Potential serial killer? A week later, it was. Damn. Love it. Love. Okay, so Mary gets helped inside with all of her suitcases. She has 4 suitcases, and in typical Mary fashion, having a hard time doing a little comedy bit with getting these bags in, but that's truly how she is. So it's a natural comedy bit, as we say in the biz. All the other girls come in and everybody's like, Mary Cosby's here. What's going on? And Whitney's like the hotel manager, and she's like, I'm Whitney. And he's like, Whitney, great to finally meet you. And she's like, yes, you as well. Well, thanks for coming in, you guys. Would you guys like to come on? I'll show you upstairs your accommodations. So this is where we show off the hotel to get free hotel rooms or discounted rates. We open the elevator and all the ladies are already like, oh, so gorgeous. Oh, backsplash. Oh my God, tile. Wow. And there's pictures of orange juice already there. And Lisa's like, oh my gosh, you guys, it's so good. Oh, it looks like a nice place. And everyone's like, Whitney, this is awesome. It's very nice. It's very, very nice. And the guy goes, there's 9 rooms around the outside that you guys each will get your own room. And these rooms are all decorated. And Heather's like, I like 405. But they're all amazing rooms, we're told. Meredith goes into a room. She's like, ooh, this is nice. Does it have a bathtub? Lisa's putting away her clothes. And we go to the next scene. We are still at the hotel. They are feasting on a charcuterie tray. These housewives and their charcuterie trays, I can't tell if it's bringing down the value of charcuterie trays or raising the value, but we see, like, just think about how many processed meats get thrown out on every episode of Real Housewives. So they're making their bagels. Bronwyn still is just very quiet. Lisa's eating her fast food. Meredith seems chipper. And then Angie's like, I'm going to start a conversation. Maylee, when was the last time you had a girls' trip? And Maylee is Whitney's friend, remember? She's new. And Maylee's like, well, the last one was between my third and my fourth kid. Wow. And she's like, it was just at Disneyland. And Lisa's like, and your fourth is how old? And he's almost 2, we find out. Whitney goes, Maylee and I have been friends for a little while now. We run in the same circles all the way back to college. And we have so much fun together. But she's so busy with work and kids that she doesn't have a lot of time to hang out. So I'm glad that she could come to Milwaukee because she's a badass, amazing woman. And then Brittany turns to Lisa and go, how's Jack, your son, doing? And this was potentially the wrong question to ask because Lisa has something to say. She goes, health wise, he's like fledgling a little bit and already tearing up. She's like, I don't want to get emotional. And Brittany's like, I'm sorry. It's like, it's okay. And Brittany's like, I bet you miss him like crazy. And she's like, even Mary Cosby go, it's okay, Lisa. When has Mary Cosby ever thrown in it's okay to anyone? What is going on? We finally adjusted the meds. This is amazing. But Lisa continues, he's just having some health problems and starts fully crying. Jack has been on his mission in Colombia for about 8 months. And we see a picture of Jack on his mission in front of a Michelin star restaurant, El Chato, given the peace sign. Um, and in the middle of the night, Jack woke up and he had the worst pain in his stomach. And he was like, is it my appendix? Is it what's going on with me? And he couldn't even stand up. As a mom, it's like the worst thing is to know your kid is not doing well and you're not there. Brittany in the scene goes, I bet it's taking you everything that you have not to fly down there, you know? You know? And she's like, yeah. And then Meredith goes, you can make exceptions with like health issues to all those crazy Mormon rules, right? You can make an exception. And Lisa goes, they would have no problem. It's Jack. She says in a talking head, I was resolute in the fact that I was going to Colombia, but Jack said, no, I don't want you coming. I will figure my tummy out by myself. And Mary goes and hugs Lisa and goes, it's okay. And she's like, I'm so tender. And Mary's like, that's so normal. It's so normal. Mary just fully being amazing to Lisa. And Lisa's like, yesterday was rough. You're rough. And Lisa's like, you're human, girl. You're human. I'm like, what? Who has replaced this Mary Cosby? What is going on? In the talking head, Lisa is fully crying, going, he's like my firstborn. He's my baby. He's my fresh wolf man. And just to have him going through so much is really hard as a mom. And she's like, I'm such a fucking mess. And she's crying. And she's like, I hate it. But listen, that's a very real feeling. And we can see how good of a mom Lisa is and how much she does love her sons. And it probably was just, hopefully, just an actual stomach ache. And hopefully they didn't have to remove his stomach or anything like that. But of course she would feel like this. Of course. And even moms feel all their kids' pains, and especially with the firstborn on a mission. Lisa's always been very intense control of that household. So this is part of that letting go process. She tells the ladies, I just want him better. Like, I just want to feed him 7-layer burritos. And Mary goes, I'm praying for you too. Mary's praying for her too? And then Brittany's like, I'll pray too. Yeah. And Lisa's like, I appreciate that. Thank you for the prayers. And she's just fanning her tears. And then Winnie goes, well, are you ready to hear what we're going to do tonight? And everybody's like, yeah. Angie K's like, yeah. Okay, we are going to a suite at the Bucks game. And everybody cheers. And Bronwyn points at Angie like, you knew it, girl. You said, surprise. Wow. And Angie goes, there's 2 Greek freaks in Milwaukee today, because Angie's Greek. Okay. So that's where if you didn't put that together. And then in a talking head, Angie puts on her customized Greek flag windshield wiper sunglasses, and I don't know what's happened to me. I love them. I'm like, hell yeah, get me a pair. These are amazing. She looks amazing in them. What happened to me? Who replaced Ryan with this Ryan, and who replaced Mary with that Mary? Lisa Whitney continues. Before that, that Milwaukee happens to be home to one of the largest bobblehead museums. And Mary just gives the face like, you got me, Whitney, because I called you a bobble. Like Mary's even like reverse smiling in a fun way. In a talking head, Whitney goes, I've been dying to take Mary to the bobblehead museum since she called me a bobblehead last year. We flash back to that where the dinner last season where Mary goes, wake up, bobblehead. Mary in a talking head goes, yes, I did call Whitney a bobblehead, but she's not a bobblehead anymore. She's passed the baton to someone else. And then we get a shot of Brittany. So Brittany's the new bobblehead, but Mary is loving it. Mary's smiling. Where has this Mary been? No, dude, at this point, I got to tell you, if this is the Mary that's at church, consider me part of the cult. Consider me a follower of Mary Cosby because I'm like, I want in on this sunshine right here. When Heather goes, there's more than just bobbleheads in Milwaukee. It also has some casinos that we could go to if I have some gamblers. I know I do. I know I do. And if you bought cash and you're into gambling, you're going to want to come with me to the casino. And when he's like, who wants to go to the museum? And Maylee, Lisa wants to gamble. Bronwyn wants the quirky museum. Mary's in on the museum because she said the bobblehead comment. And then Mary's like, well, I guess we should get dressed then. And we've got a very busy day ahead of us. Let's go. And that is our first commercial break, folks. So we get to a scene where Mary Cosby is in her bedroom and her son calls. And obviously, we saw the son pop up on last week's episode, and I think the son will be continuing to pop up on further episodes. So she's like, what's up? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, what's up? He's like, I was just seeing if I can get like $60 in my Cash App. And she's like, that's the only reason you called me? You didn't call me to check on me, make sure I'm safe? And he goes, no, yeah. Oh my gosh. Mary is like a beaming ray of sunshine, and we have people now bringing her down. We cut over to Angie's room. She's unpacking all the Greek paraphernalia. Meredith's getting ready. Whitney's getting ready. We see that Brittany is FaceTiming Jared Osmond of the Osmond clan, and she's all done up. She's ready to FaceTime her official boo, according to Instagram, and he denies the FaceTime. And you can tell she's bummed because she sighs heavily. Then we go over to Maylee's room. We go over to Bronwyn's room. It's just madcap music is in the background. I was like, are we going to a sock hop? What's going on? And Angie K goes into Bronwyn's room, and Bronwyn is fully getting now done up by Glam. And Angie's like, somebody's doing my job for me. I heard a blow dryer and I felt right at home. Look how cute your jammies are, Bronwyn. So Bronwyn says, if you would have come out of retirement, I wouldn't have to hire all these people. Bronwyn already has a full staff of Glam. But Angie just came in to check in. And she says, I know that last time we got together, Bronwyn, with the group, things got heated and I sensed your energy shift. By the way, this isn't like she's some kind of empath. We all sensed the energy shift. It was an energy shift. Bronwyn goes, it was a lot. I mean, I don't know that my energy shifted so much as like my whole soul left my body. By the way, we have to flash back to this damn scene again just to see her soul leave her body. And we flash back and we see Heather going, you're going to need to get your words in order with all this group. And then the camera like shakes and we like, that's supposed to signify Bronwyn's soul leaving her body. And we hear this angelic music. Anyways, we didn't need it. Bronwyn goes, I'm very upset at Heather, but Lisa, I'm furious with. I really am. Lisa's a longtime friend of mine. And not only did she not say a single word, but she could have shut that down so simply. All she had to say is, I know Bronwyn the best, and that's not how this conversation was meant. Angie goes, yeah, I sensed the silence on her part. And, I've been in a situation with Lisa recently where, I think having my own opinion put me on the outs with her. So I get it, Bronwyn. And Bronwyn's like, the things Lisa said about Maylee were far worse than anything I said about anyone. And there's like, what? And we flash back to back in Utah, where Lisa, 1 week earlier, is in the car with Heather and Bronwyn going, this is so bitchy. But Wade came over to my house to grab some stuff before the event. And he's like, Maylee's about to get blacklisted from Nordstrom from all of her returns. Ha 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 ha. Wow. So Nordstrom, wait, Maylee's gonna get blacklisted at Nordstrom's? Is that possible? I once did wear I bought 2 suits from Nordstrom. I don't know why. I bought 2 suits from Nordstrom for like a headshot shoot like years and years and years ago. And I'm really messy with things. And afterwards, I put them on the hangers, but I didn't like iron them or something. And I took them back, and they're like, "Sorry, we can't take them." I was like, "What?" And then I had to go home and like iron them and then return them again. So I feel I'm Team Maylee on this one. I don't know why, but Bronwyn says the two of them did talk shit to me and then try to out me as the shit talker. And then he goes, "Yeah, that's fucked up." Yeah, I love how rigid Angie is in scenes. Like she's present, but she's rigid. It's I'm really God, I'm falling in love. And Bronwyn goes, I think that's also what I'm so mad about is that the two of them have decided that they can say whatever, and little bitch Bronwyn is going to keep their secrets while they treat me like a little bitch. In a talking head, Bronwyn says, I'm not using Lisa's words. I'm just letting people know that Lisa had words. And in the scene, she goes, and that's too much bitchery for me, Angie K. Honestly. And Angie goes, yeah, yeah, yes. Uh-huh. It's my turn. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Bronwyn and a talking head goes, so I'm not throwing Lisa under the bus yet, but I am turning the bus on. I also own the bus. We, in fact, bought the entire bus company. And when we are ready to run over people, they shall be run over. Ha ha. So Whitney now is stumbling down the hall with a Celsius and 2 glasses and goes into Heather's room and gives her like a shot of Celsius. And Whitney's like, sneaky, sneaky. And Heather's like, Milwaukee. Or maybe this is okay, it's a shot, but then the Celsius is the chaser. And this is cute to actually see them getting along. But if I was Whitney, I wouldn't trust it. You gotta watch Heather. And Heather goes, this is awesome. Good trip, Whitney. We earned it. And they do the shot. They drink the Celsius. And Whitney goes, cheers to the Buzzin' Cousins. Whoa, we've got a new stage name from Bad Weather to Buzzin' Cousins. I like it. I like it. Heather says, I'm taking Meredith with me to the casinos. But like, what's her vibe with you? As an olive branch, I was like, hey, will you bring caviar? And Heather's like, to like have a caviar night? Because at first when you hear that on its face, you're like, hey, I tried to give an olive branch by saying bring something expensive, but then I forgot Meredith Marks has a caviar line. So it's a chance for her to actually get a product placement within the episode. So it actually is kind of a nice olive branch. And Whitney's like, then she was just kind of like, I'm already bringing it. And Heather's like, whoa. And we flash back to the plane where Meredith is telling Bronwyn, I brought the caviar. You can have it for breakfast. And we see it all laid out in the private jet. It's like a big tin of Meredith Marks caviar. And Whitney goes, like, kind of bitchy, she said. I don't know. What's going on with you and Bronwyn, Heather? It seems like things are better. And Heather goes, well, I've been testing the waters a little bit. It was a little bit cold at like the airport, but it was early. But it did raise red flags. The fact that like the conversation I heard her say about you, and we flash back to that damn conversation again. Like, do you want to see a healed Whitney? It's so trite, Bronwyn says. And Heather in this scene goes, and then the conversation that she apparently had with you were two totally different versions. We have to flash back to that now. And when he's like, I met up with Bronwyn and she's awesome and she was super supportive. And Heather's like, really? At that scene at the crystal shop. And then in the car with Bronwyn says, I felt that at the dinner the other night. I was like, Whitney and I have a lot in common and I was happy talking to you until it got interrupted. I genuinely was like, I love Bronwyn. I really appreciated that, like your openness. In this scene, Whitney goes, I feel like she really likes me. Heather in a talking next goes, I think Bronwyn is trying to play to whoever is in front of her. She tells Whitney, I had thought that she was laughing at you, Whitney, and had no interest in being your friend. I love that there's no nuance. Like it's like I thought she was making fun of you and would never want to be your friend. Like you can make fun of people and even you can make fun of people to their face and still be their friends. I get made fun of all the time. I get made fun of on the Jeff Lewis show the other day. I consider them but like no, it's fun. What do you mean? Like I considered they'd never be friends after that making fun of. Bullshit. And but Heather's like, what? Like, what did I miss with Bronwyn? I mean, it's she says in a talking head, she says, it's snivelly and it's manipulative and it's weird. Not on Heather Gay's watch. Only true people will survive. She says, I think it's obvious, but am I the only one seeing it that way? Yeah, right now, I gotta say, I'm not seeing your way. But Heather on Watch What Happens Live last night said, wait till the season gets in. You'll see. So something happens with Bronwyn she was hinting at. But Heather goes, am I crazy? And I'm like, yes, girl. Whitney goes, it is confusing because I do get along very well with her. And Heather's like, I just thought it was bullshit. I did. Okay, so we come back to the hotel and all of a sudden we hear Angie K go, did someone page a Greek? And she comes out in this white mink coat and just tons of Greek merchandise. We got a Greek flag, Greek glasses, Greek basketball jersey, Greek flag. And she is just she is on fire. She's got Greek yogurts. And when he's like, let's roll, babies, let's go. We're going to go. And they get out on the streets of Milwaukee and they're like, hey, but nobody's around them that they're saying, hey, to. And everybody's like, have fun, bobbleheads. We're going to the casino. We're the fun ones. So we're going around Milwaukee. We see the casino and Heather and Angie are like, we're going to win money. We're going to have some cocktails. Heather wants to play roulette, a game that I've never figured out. I'm a Wheel of Fortune slots machine guy, which is fun. Lisa pulls out like a wad of cash from her purse. Heather's immediately knows what she's doing. She's like, I'm going to put it all on black. I'm going to put this here. Lisa in a talking head goes, the Mormon church is anti anything addictive. And Heather is like 29, black and odd. Yeah, split that. Lisa continues, gambling is one of things. Drugs, pornography is totally frowned upon. Like I had to fly home from New York City next to a Mormon kid and he had his hoodie over himself the whole entire time looking at porn. He watched porn for 4 straight hours. This thing just gets glossed over, but I'm going to need a full hour on Lisa because I only figure Lisa flies first class. Also, is it one of your sons? Like, what are the odds that Lisa is sitting there? How do you know it's a Mormon kid? And all of a sudden you're sitting next to Lisa Barlow and you have your hoodie on and you watch 4 straight hours of porn. I got to tell you, I don't know if I've watched 5 minutes of straight porn. Like, maybe, I don't, but 4 hours. And then I love the thought of just imagining Lisa Barlow clocking it like hour 3. Oh my God, we're still going. He switched to another film. This is crazy. Tin Roof Rusted. Like, what? What? This kid's comfortable enough on a plane to watch porn next to Lisa Barlow? And then I don't feel bad for this kid at all, but like saying this is not one of her sons, probably isn't. All of a sudden this kid's probably like, at home with his mom. The mom has on Housewives. All of a sudden, he's like, oh, that lady looks familiar. And then all of a sudden he's like, I was on a plane for 4 straight hours. This kid was watching porn. And he's like, oh my God, that's where I know her from. Oh my God, she was aware that I was watching hardcore pornography on a Delta flight. They're playing roulette and Heather's like, let it roll, baby. Let it roll. By the way, Heather is so into gambling that I'm like, maybe we should take a look at this. This should be a potential storyline. I will say, Ronnie Cameron from Watch What Crappens, when he was at BravoCon, I remember after the Friday, I think he wound up at a casino with Heather Gay playing like blackjack, or maybe it was roulette, which I thought was hysterical, just randomly. Lisa goes, so yeah, I might be gambling, but I'm not addicted to it. That's why I call it Mormon 2.0. Hell yeah. Like she's in control. Like, I'm not going to bet my house. No way. I've only got this $3,000 to play with. I mean, I love how confident she is of like, I'm not doing anything wrong. It's Mormon 2.0, bitch. Bitch. Mormon 3.0. Yeah. And Lisa's like, red, red, land on red. Come on. But it was black. And everybody's like, oh. And Lisa's like, I love this. And Heather goes, do you think they're having fun at the Bobblehead Museum? And Andy's like, no. And now we cut to the Bobblehead Museum, and it truly is that, a bobblehead museum. And the lady at the front's like, welcome to the Bobblehead Museum. We have over 10,000 bobbleheads here. It would have been funny if we made a Whitney bobblehead to put in the museum. Just a thought. We see all the bobbleheads, including a Bernie Sanders one. And the lady's like, we made a scavenger hunt especially for you. And everybody's like, oh, yay. I would have so rather been on the gambling thing. Bronwyn's like, typically a scavenger hunt for me would be at a store, finding some rare, exclusive thing I don't already have, finding the latest blood diamond, but then lying later that I don't remember where I got it so no one else can copy me, not even that bitch Rihanna. Maylee's like, Bronwyn, you can lead us on this scavenger hunt. And she's like, no, you guys lead. In the talking head, Bronwyn goes, but friendships require sacrifice. Whitney's like, this third-time Super Bowl winner is soon to be retired. And everyone's like, that's the Kelsey brothers. So they go find the Kelsey statue. They find the Marilyn Monroe bobblehead. And then they look for the Golden Girls. They're like 4 Emmy Award-winning ladies doing a TV show. And everyone's like, Golden Girls. So they find the Golden Girls. And this is where Salt Lake is the editing top-notch, chef's kiss. And Whitney's like, who would we be of the Golden Girls? And Angie's like, no, sorry. Maylee's like, Rose. And Lisa goes, I'm Rose. And then we see Betty White's picture go up, and then they face swap it with Mary Cosby's face, which I got to tell you is weirdly beautiful. I mean, it's truly, the technology on this is amazing. It looks very real. And they say Whitney would be Sophia. And then we get a picture of Sophia and then Whitney's face in the wig. Then Maylee says she'd be Blanche. And then Bronwyn is Dorothy. I'm Dorothy. And Whitney's like, they're kind of like us. And Mary goes, some are grumpy, some are moody, and some still have a period, and then laughs. Mary is just on fire this episode. Even Mary goes, I can't believe I just said that. Oh my gosh, no. What are you doing, Mary? We go back to the casino and Lisa's like, oh my gosh, I'm down to my last 2, but I've got more cash. Wow, this just makes me worried about Lisa. Like, you're down to your last 2, but you're like, don't worry, I can procure more cash. Now, Angie K, that Greek luck, she's doing really good. Lisa leans over to Brittany, who has been on her phone the entire time, and goes, put your phone away. Come on. Heather is like, I think Black's due for a run. I'm going to stay on Black. Yeah. Now, Lisa takes Brittany's phone, looks at it, and goes, and it's a text from Jared, says, hey, babe, I didn't see that you called. I don't know why I missed your call. And Lisa's like, can I text him back? And Brittany's like, yeah. And Lisa texts as Brittany goes, hey, sorry, having the best time with the girls. I don't know what time we'll be in tonight, so I guess we'll chat probably tomorrow. Thanks. And it's not all one paragraph. It's like each separate bubble text, which, that's the way to do it. But Lisa's like, screw it. You're done. You're done for the night. And Lisa's like, we're over him. Just remember that. You have to be done with him unless he makes major changes. And Brittany goes, he asked me to be his girlfriend, Lisa. He asked me to be his girlfriend. And Lisa's like, just silent. Now, Heather and Meredith go to grab a drink at the bar while Lisa is continuing to gamble. And Heather cheers with Meredith, and the other ladies are back. Heather orders 2 shots of tequila for the girl, or 4 shots, 5 for the girls. And Heather goes, are you having so fun, Meredith? And she's like, so far, so good. What a mentor you are in gambling. And Heather's like, I know, I'm working on it. I'm glad that you decided to come, Meredith. I talked to Whitney earlier, and she said that you were a little bit cold about the caviar. She just said, you're a little bit cold. And Meredith just like looks and pauses. And Heather goes, she felt like asking you to bring your caviar was an olive branch, and you rebuffed it by saying, I'm already bringing some. I will say, though, Heather does these things where, it's like kind of a little playing both sides of the fence, because the way she's saying this or relaying Whitney's sentiments to Meredith, she's kind of like almost has this vibe of like, isn't Whitney crazy? She feels like this. And so I feel like Heather's a little disingenuous when she feels that way about Bronwyn, because I feel like she behaves that way a lot as well. But Meredith goes, was Whitney's olive branch to bring caviar because she's going to launch a caviar next? In a talking head, Meredith goes, a bigger olive branch might just be, I've treated you like shit and I'm sorry. That might be the olive branch. That might be it. She tells Heather, yeah, I'm not sure why her asking me to gift caviar to everyone on the trip is extending an olive branch for me. Like, that doesn't really add up in my head. But a lot of things aren't adding up right now. Now, this is what when Meredith says something like, a lot of things aren't adding up right now, you're like, Meredith's about to drop something. Meredith has done some op research. She is about to drop a bomb. And then Meredith does it again. She goes, they're saying Whitney is using designs off of Alibaba. I love how Alibaba and selling them at like 10, 20 times the price. And Heather is zoik? What? Zoiks? And Meredith goes, you better believe if it were me, she'd be all over me. Back to Heather's reaction, still in the zoiks face. And there's just like thought, like face, like a shot of face, shot of a face, shot of a face, shot of a face. We go to commercial. We come back. Day one of the Milwaukee trip. We cut back to the gambling and we go right back into Meredith going, they're saying Whitney is using designs off Alibaba and selling them at 10, 20 times the price and using the same stock photos and stuff like that. And we get to the Alibaba website, AliExpress, and we see these Zodiac pendant necklaces. You can buy them for $3.90 on Alibaba. And on Prism, Whitney's website, it is the same exact picture. And she has marked it up to $49. Somebody don't want to see a girl boss winning. Meredith, what about women supporting women? Isn't this just ingenuity? Isn't this what we do? But I love that Meredith goes, people are saying that we need, like, what people? Like, what people? The mean streets of Salt Lake. I heard whispering around the town square that Whitney is selling Alibaba goods for 10 to 20 times up for the market value. I've heard it everywhere now. Are you hearing the same in Salt Lake? Like, where? I mean, I feel like she's hearing this on Reddit. But I love that Meredith always has this locked and loaded. And that's why it was so believable that Meredith was potentially involved in all of the Venus about Angie last season, right? But I will say Whitney's not beating these allegations. We flash back to Lisa in a scene earlier with Meredith where Lisa's like, I'm glad me and Whitney got to a place where I feel like I could come on the trip, Meredith, because I'm like, why are you going on a public platform and talking about me on Nick Vialli's podcast? It's so weird because someone just did it to her. Did you see that? And Meredith goes, the social media posts about her jewelry of being off of Alibaba and not her own? And Lisa goes, yeah. And Meredith goes, it's not good for business. I did check. Alibaba does not have caviar because I was like, Alibaba is selling caviar that Meredith is marking up 10 to 20 times. They have no caviar on the Alibaba website. But Lisa's aware of this as well. So Heather had to have already been aware of this because Heather keeps her, ear to the ground. We go back to the scene. Heather's face is still in the zoiks, like she is frozen. And I don't just mean Botox. She just is not left his face. And Meredith goes, you didn't see this? And she goes, no. I was tagged like 100 times about this. I don't know. It's so silly. I love, is Reality Von Tease still working? Who is Reality Von Tease now? Who is tagging you 100 times? These streets, we still got to protect them. No wonder Heather Gay is paranoid. Heather in a talking head goes, not Alibaba. This is like the kiss of death for retail. I will tell you, I don't know much about Alibaba or like any of these things, but I did like then go on it last night and I was like, it's pretty cool shit. This is great. I love cheap shit. America goes, Alibaba is bulk. It's not curated and not high quality. Like somebody's out to get Whitney, Heather says. This is somebody that's like sought out Whitney and wants to like destroy your reputation because this is very specific and very damaging. Oh my God. So we have another mystery being set up for the season. We thought we got rid of Reality Von Teese, but once again, somebody pops up in the digital shadows. Could it be Monica Garcia going, fuck you, you didn't bring me on another season? I'm going to burn this bitch to the ground, even though Whitney's one of the only people I think to keep in contact with Monica. So that wouldn't necessarily make sense. Anyways, Lisa's back at the table going, can I spin the roulette wheel? Can I please? Ha 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 ha. We flash back to, we go back to Meredith and Heather's like, are you going to say something to Whitney? Are you going to offer support to Whitney? And Meredith goes, I don't know. I mean, that's my place at this point. She clearly doesn't have respect for good old Meredith here, or she would have consulted me. I've been in this business, in this space for 15 years. I've won multiple design awards. I used to use Alibaba. No, I didn't. I was just joking. Heather goes, well, I think that if it's happening, you should bring it up. This is so like, I think if it's happening, you should bring it up on camera. So Meredith's thinking about it, and Heather's like, not as a way to like condemn her or expose her, wink, but as a, to say, hey, listen, this is hard to navigate, bud. I happen to have years of experience. You're obviously at a crisis, and if we're friends, I should be able to offer my help or at least support. And Meredith's like, I don't know. Oh, thinking about that, Heather, I don't know, because she has a weird issue with me. And it's been going on for several years. You heard about the bath thing, right? That's fucking crazy. I don't think she wants my advice. I'll tell you the truth. In a talking head, Meredith goes, I'm not spreading rumors about Whitney. This is out there on social media. You can't get my fingerprints on this thing. No way. This ain't getting pinned on old Meredith Marks. But people are discussing it. They're discussing long, hard discussions. And I can't tell her myself. She'll always assume the worst from me. So I think if I tell Heather, she can bring it up to Whitney. And she, in the scene, she goes, the bottom line is, Heather, I would have never let her get into this mess. I love it. It's like, if she was women supporting women, I would have never, like with my reputation in the business, it would have never happened. No. So we go past that scene and we are on to the next. What is next in beautiful Milwaukee? We're going down the streets and Bronwyn, well, I guess the car is falling apart, and Bronwyn's like, my husband's so old, everything's falling apart on him. It just is. He's 65, Mary. And Mary's like, that's not old. And Maylee's like, how old are you, Bronwyn? And Maylee's like, 38. And they're like, oh, you're young. And then Bronwyn reveals something that every inventor of the Palm Pilot would love to have revealed on a national reality show. It goes, yeah, he has gout. And Bronwyn's like, I had sex with someone who was old enough to have gout. It is horrifying, actually. Dude, if I was that guy, I got like, dude, give me back the black card. No. You will not be revealing my gout status on Bravo. And I also want to stand up for that age thing. I have a very close friend that has fought with gout over this last decade. And he is nowhere near. I mean, he's like nearing 40, like nowhere near. And he's had gout for a while. And it's not just old people, folks. And by the way, it's not me. Yeah, I swear to God, I can prove it. I do not have gout, but my friend does have gout and he battles it. It's like something you always have to watch. You got to stay away from the beers, the processed meats, all that stuff. It's crazy. So now we're in the Sprinter van with the other ladies, and Angie K is doing social media. She's like, heading to the Bucks game and all of my Greek paraphernalia. What up? And then Heather goes, I can't believe I asked you how they're going to know you're Greek. And Angie's like, I know, it's such a subtle hint, as she has the windshield wiper Greek sunglasses on. But they're laughing, having a good time with it. We go from there, and we are now at Fiserv Forum, where the Bucks play. And Mary gets out of the car, and she's like, you should have seen how I got out of that car. it kind of looked like she just got out of the car normally. But that's the kind of fun Mary Cosby is having on this trip. Like everything's fun. She's like, you should have seen how I slid off that seat. I mean, just amazingly chipper. So we all are gathered around this stadium, and this gentleman, he works for Fiserv. He's like, "Welcome to Fiserv Stadium. We're excited to have you guys here today. We're going to go inside. We're going to meet our team president, Peter. We're going to escort you guys courtside to watch warm-ups." And everybody's like, "Ooh, yeah." So you have a drink. We got you in a suite. You'll have a nice time. Come on in. All right. And they're all going, Giannis, Giannis, who is the Greek basketball player, right? And they're walking past what seems like a group of 40 or 50 people all in basketball jerseys. And you can tell these kids do not know who the F these ladies are. And Angie's like waving the Greek flag in their face. And they're like, are we going to see any basketball players? And Angie's like, hi, kids, you're up past your bedtime. And they're like, mind your business, Greek. Angie's like, we're going backstage. And Heather's like, backstage passes. And then Lisa already knows Peter, the president of the Bucks, which Lisa is really in with these basketball teams. Because Lisa's like, hey, Peter, what's up? Peter's like, welcome. And Lisa's like, thanks for having us. And everybody's like, you dress appropriately. Because Whitney's in this like fancy jacket with all like these basketball teams logos on it. And they're going out on the court. And Lisa's like, Angie, are you ready? And we get out on the court, and very few people are there. And you're seeing some basketball players warm up. I wish I was more into sports so I could feel the excitement. But Angie K is literally swaddled in the Greek flag right now. It's a lot. Like these basketball players, they probably were asked to move to a suite because I feel like this would be some sort of distraction for the players. We see the seats. They get seated right in the front row, and Bronwyn's like, I love the sport of basketball. I am a stats nerd. I totally am. And we cut to Angie going, I might cry if Giannis comes over. Bronwyn goes, I don't know how to do math, but I am wowed by numbers, especially big ones. He does this perfect, especially big ones. Opens the mouth, goes, and then the laugh comes. I love it. Anyways, Damian Lillard, a basketball player, comes over and they're all like, oh my gosh. And Bronwyn's like, I'm a huge fan. Oh my God, my husband has gout, Damian. My husband has gout. And the guy's like so professional. He's like, going down, shaking all the ladies' hands. And when he's like, do you mind if I get a photo with you? I'm a huge fan. And so they get a selfie. And then all the ladies have to get a selfie after Whitney does it. But this guy's great. You can see he's a little tired by the end of it. And then Whitney FaceTimes her son. And when he's like, son, this is the president of the Bucks. And Peter's like, why aren't you here? To Whitney's son. It's cute. He's like, you should be coming to the game. And then Whitney's on the court with this Greek flag that Bronwyn is like billowing, has the Greek flag, the Greek sunglasses on the actual court for photos. And everybody's taking photos of her. And then she realizes, like, dude, you're actually in the court and they're trying to warm up. Like, did the Bucks lose that night? If so, it could be because of Angie K. And then all of a sudden the guy comes like, hey, okay, are you guys ready to go to the suite? You've done enough damage down here. Let's get you guys somewhere else. Come on, let's go. Chop, chop. Double time. Can we talk about once again, like I will say I love Milwaukee and I hope we send Housewives to other not exotic locales because there's a lot of interesting places in this world. But like, is there another better trip later on this season? Like Salt Lake has gotten a lot of the short end of the stick. And I used to blame it on Jen Shaw because she couldn't travel very far because of her, the requirements of the charges against her. But now I'm like, they just cheaping out. Like, I think this is hysterical, but like, give them like they've 5 seasons, send them somewhere, like give them a little zhuzh, So we see the Buck Stadium and they're in the private suite. They got this whole smorgasbord of food laid out. Everybody's excited. We got champagne, a cake. They have lobster corn dogs, just like Schwartz and Sandy serve. And everybody's like, yum. And then Mary is sitting down next to Angie K, who is still taking selfies of herself. And Mary's like, I feel like I need to blow my nose. I need to blow my nose. And Angie, who can speak fluent Mary, goes, well, I'm going to use the restroom if you want to use the restroom. And Mary goes, I don't use public restrooms, but I need to blow my nose. And then Mary goes, I always wear a tampon and it holds it. Holds what? So she's saying, now this is where, if especially maybe everybody listening, just fast forward like 3 minutes, because I'm going to go into something and it's really embarrassing and you're going to potentially think I'm making this up, but I truly was not aware. So Mary's saying that she jams a tampon in there and that saves her from having to use public restrooms because she goes in the tampon and it holds it. Okay, so we all agree. And Andy's like, is that real, Mary? And Mary's like, yeah. You put a tampon in, you will not have to pee the entire time. In a talking head, Mary is like lit up, smiling from within. She's like, it's worked for me for years. Which now I'm thinking, I need a Mary Cosby brand tampons. Like, has this been you? Hey, I need to use the restroom. Well, not anymore. Now with Mary Cosby super absorbent Christ-like tampons. You just jam one in a day. The restroom you'll say goodbye to. But Mary's like, it's worked for me for years. If you're going to be out long and you got errands to run, and then there's like verbiage on the screen that says directions. And Mary Cosby goes, just insert that bad boy in there. Make sure it's the supersize though. And she smiles. She's like, it can't be the medium or the small. Not with Mary Cosby's bladder. Okay, this is. So I was talking to my girlfriend and I go, wow, like, cause this is how naive I am. I'm like, that's a good tip. I was like, do you know, like, is that true? She's like, it is not true. No. And then she's like, the pee comes out of a completely separate hole. And I was like, get out of town. This is why, like, whenever I say I make fun of these people, realize that I'm the biggest idiot. You guys know that already. I was like, what? Wait, what? There's a separate pee hole? I thought I knew about the hole, the butthole, and I knew about but I didn't know there was a separate hole for the pee. And she goes, no, it's like a completely different like stream. Like, no, you would just, but then other people, I was reading up on this, say that it does work. So I don't know what to think, but I honestly I would have bought this hook, line, and sinker. I was like, why are we not all wearing these? And I was like, does it work? Does it work in the butthole as well? Like, how far can we go with this thing? But I was told this is crazy. And she seemed she was like, no, Mary's gross. That's gross. That's gross. I will say they must have gotten really early there to the game, because most of these scenes in the suite, if you look out on the arena, it looks like not a lot of people are there. So either there's not good attendance at these games, or they just got there super early so they could film their little fights and arguments. I don't know. If you guys notice in the background, I kept pausing. I'm like, it's not even full. It's not full at all. But they're like clapping. I think this is some Franken editing, because they're showing the basketball game being played and everybody's cheering. And then at the same time, we see Brittany once again FaceTiming Jared Osmond. And Lisa told her, put your phone away, girl. But she is continuing. She's got these big hoop earrings. She's like, has a Diet Coke by her side. And she's like getting ready for him to pick up. But Lisa's clocking this like, oh my God, you're kidding me. This bitch is doing it again. And Lisa's like, Brittany, are you taking selfies? And Heather's like, no, she's FaceTiming Jared. He's not on the line. And then Brittany, I guess he does pick up, and they're like, oh, there he is. Oh, hey, Jared. Hi. And she's like, oh, we just wanted to say hi. Just wanted to see your special face. And Angie is talking to Bronwyn behind them in the suite. And Angie's like, she's obsessed with this guy. Oh, look, they're right there. They're FaceTiming. Like, right. I mean, Angie K is like literally like 3 feet away from Brittany, which I'm like, this is so weird. You would like talk shit like a little further away. But Angie goes, hi, Jared. I know all about you. I'm going to tell you a story. My brow. And this is when like Jared's on the FaceTime, but they're not talking with Angie K. Angie K is having a separate conversation with Bronwyn and starts going to Bronwyn, my brow girl, not Greek, who's like the best brow girl in Salt Lake. Of course, Angie K would have the best brow girl in Salt Lake. She is telling me that she's like flirting with Jared in the DMs. And Bronwyn's like, oh, and she's sending me screenshots and it's messy. And Bronwyn's like, it is messy. And it's like, I know. And it's like, this makes me feel bad. And then she showing the screenshot of these text messages. She's like, he asked for the phone number, and I freeze framed it here, and it says, "Hey Whitney, something. Can I call you?" An audio call, missed audio call, and then it says, "Please," from Jared, and then it says, a little blurry. Let me make this out. And yes, me and Britt are not together. These pictures of Brittany and I on the fan page website are from several weeks ago. The fan page website. She's on dating sites, and so am I. I'm sorry if I've done anything to offend you. I hope you'll forgive me. Ever since Brittany and I broke up, I've been a little hurt and a little saddened, trying to find a new relationship. You've got to let it come to you, Jared. She has wasted no time in dating as well. I would love a phone call from you if it's possible. Wow, very direct. And then he does a prayer hands emoji. Prayer hands. So what does this mean? Brittany's on dating. We need God, we need to take all the detective work. Meredith, I need you off the Alibaba case, and I need you on this case pronto. So she's reading these texts to Bronwyn, and Bronwyn's like, he straight up says they're not together. And he's like, yeah, right there. They're saying they're not together. And he's trying to call her. It's just weird. It's just weird. Brittany is still FaceTiming with Jared and goes, I'll call you later. Kisses, kisses. I'll call you. Call. And like doing the little wave. But I think she can hear this entire conversation behind that's happening. But Brittany turns to Heather and goes, things are looking up. Things are looking up. I like that. He answered my call. Things are looking up, girl. You're better than this. Come on, girl. Things are looking up. Fuck you. He should be begging you to call him. Screw this. No, things are looking up. I've been like that too. We've all been that in some sort of relationship where every piece of your happiness depends on if this person is paying attention to you. Like we become like lapdogs, and it is so embarrassing to watch, but your heart goes out because at the same time, I think we've all been there as well, right? No. So Brittany is getting up, and Bronwyn is like, if you knew this information about me, I would want you to tell me. I'd want you to tell me. And Angie's like, I'd want you to tell me. And Bronwyn says, and I would also want you to hide Todd's body when I kill him. And they're all laughing. And Brittany is like hearing all of this. And Brittany turns around and goes, is this about me? And they're like, uh-oh. And Angie's like, maybe a little. Did I do that? Maybe a little. And Angie goes, I just like, I see that you love this guy, and I'm not sure, like, woman to woman, how to handle this. But my brow girls, my brow girl, best one in Salt Lake, she was telling me that she was like DMing with him and that he wanted her number and he wanted her to call him. And Brittany's like, what? And Meredith now has come into the scene. She's like, are you guys talking to Alibaba? And Brittany's like, when was this? And Angie's like, it was 2 weeks ago. And Brittany's like, what? You've met a lot of us. Angie's like, you're divulging your info, Brittany. You were sharing about your relationship. You're sharing that you guys are official. And we hear the crowd roaring in the background for something that the basketball team is doing, which they're not watching. And Angie's like, I just want to do the right thing and like make you aware. And Brittany's just taking this all in, kind of like she just looks like she has a migraine. And Angie's like, I'd be a bad friend and a bad woman for not telling you. And Brittany goes, yeah, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, I gotta go. And Mary's like, put a tampon in. And everybody's like, she's upset. And Brittany's trying to not cry, but you can hear her crying. And Meredith follows her. And Angie's like, I don't want her to be upset with me. And Bro's like, you had to say something. You just had to. And Meredith has her arm around Brittany, headed towards the bathroom. And it's a sad situation. But Bronwyn's like, maybe it's too many people that you told her around. Like she's upset. And then Meredith is in the bathroom with Brittany, and Brittany is crying. And Meredith's like, this is probably not the way you wanted to find out, but it's better to know than not to know. And Brittany's like, I've suspected. It's just hard to get confirmation. You know what I mean? In a talking head, Meredith goes, I feel horrible for Brittany. I mean, how dare Whitney order off Alibaba? No, Brittany. Yeah, I feel horrible for Brittany. It sounds like there's a lot of like breakups and reconciliations. And it feels like maybe he breaks up with her when he wants to hook up with someone else or something like that. I don't know. I just heard people are talking. I just heard people are talking. I was tagged in something 100 times. And then Meredith goes, it's not my relationship. But regardless, it would make me sad if I were standing in her shoes. And I would hope someone will be there for me. So this is very nice. And yeah, no, it's good of Meredith to be there. We go back to Bronwyn, and Bronwyn's like, look at Heather trying to catch a bra. Heather, I want this for you. Get it, girl. And I guess they're launching bras into the, like, I don't know, they're launching something, and Heather's trying to catch it. Back to the bathroom, Mary goes, maybe you just need to take a little time for yourself. And Brittany's like, I think that's wise. And just reassess and think about what's important to you. Like for me, it's empowering women, not like that bitch Whitney. You get a load of this bathtub shit? Come on, Brittany, we're new, but my thing is bathtubs. But then Meredith goes, and maybe go on some dates, Brittany, and see what it's like to date somebody else. What about my husband, Seth? Hey, I heard my name. I just happened to be at the Bucks game in a woman's bathroom. How's everybody doing? Anyways, we're in the suite again. Somebody's hitting on Whitney, and Whitney like, Angie, I need you to save me. This guy thinks he has a chance with me. He gave me some money. And Angie's like a hooker? Like you're a hooker? And Whitney just walks off. And Angie's like, you little honeypot, Whitney. Meredith goes, let's go in the bathroom. Meredith's like, let's go back out there and just have fun. Let's just do it. And Brittany's laughing through her tears, very impactful. So everybody's back in all together. All the ladies are now in the suite. And the lobster corn dogs are phenomenal. Angie K's up there dancing with all of her Greek paraphernalia on. She never got to meet Giannis, right? Giannis. And at this point, it's halftime. I don't know. The stadium's just not full. I think the editing's all weird. But Angie is fully holding up the Greek flag. Mary's holding up one side and laughing. And Angie's like, Mary, yeah, do it, girl. It's so bizarre. Anyways, the final conversation is that we have like Brittany. I mean, Lisa Barlow. Sorry, it's Lisa Barlow and Bronwyn. And Lisa Barlow goes, hey, Bronwyn, how was the Bobblehead Museum? How did everything go? And in a talking head, Bronwyn, we flash back to Maylee, and Maylee is talking to Bronwyn saying, things have not been sitting well with me because I hear you are making fun of my outfit. And if you're, and Bronwyn's like, if you're very concerned about what people are saying about your clothes, Maylee, I would have a serious conversation with Lisa. So they had that conversation at the bobblehead. So Lisa Barlow got thrown under the bus for what she did actually say, but I don't think Lisa Barlow knows this. And Bronwyn goes in the scene with Lisa now at Buck Stadium and goes, well, Lisa, you and I probably need to catch up about that. And we see Maylee eating a lobster corn dog going, uh-oh, I think I heard my name. And Meredith's like, stand up for yourself, Maylee. That's all I can tell you. And don't shop on that bullshit website, Alibaba. Anyways, Brittany comes back in from the bathroom and sees Angie K, stands over next to her. And then all of a sudden, Maylee comes in the middle of this and goes, I do have a question, Lisa. About an hour ago, Bronwyn told me to ask you how you feel about my outfits. And everybody's like, Lisa's smiling, like, are you really doing this now, girl? You are a first season. Check yourself. Folks, let's finish this recap off. I just got back. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can tell I'm in a totally different outfit, and I have a Kodo insurance hat on that I was gifted tonight at Vicky and Shannon Live. Yeah, I just went to Irvine and saw Vicky and Shannon, and I'll talk all about that on my OC recap, and I'll post all my videos on Patreon tomorrow because I took a lot of videos. It was very interesting. Two of the dudes from Love Hotel, that show Shannon Bedore was shooting, were in the audience in the front, and they were good looking older dudes. Woo-wee! Anyways, I got to meet a lot of people that listen to the show, which was so exciting. I couldn't believe that, but I'll talk more about that on Saturday. Let's finish this. It's got to be so weird for you because I was just talking about Lisa Barlow, and then I'm like, hey guys, it's 7 hours later. What's up? Okay, so Maylee has confronted Lisa Barlow and says, Bronwyn told me an hour ago to ask you about the snarky comments you've said about my outfits. And I was like, you should more talk about like you being potentially blackballed from Nordstrom's. So like goes up to Lisa in this private VIP box, and Lisa is like, uh-oh, and like kind of looks at Bronwyn like, what did you throw me under the bus? And Lisa just goes, it was a snarky comment after she said, like, oh, that's like something Valentino. And then I responded, I'm like, don't worry, it's probably back at Nordstrom's. And Maylee's just shaking her head. And Maylee goes, that's not what I would ever do. And Lisa goes, Lisa has a can of Diet, she's clutching a can of Diet Coke. She's like, Maylee, it wasn't like that deep. And Bronwyn goes, this is the problem, is that you say it's a snarky comment, it's a joke. Ha ha ha, I can get away with it. And Lisa's like, that's what I was saying with you. But when I said it, Bronwyn says, it was not a joke. It was not snarky, and Bronwyn can't get away with it. And Heather is just clocking all of this, probably being triggered and having flashbacks of Monica Garcia. And we just hear intense music and we see face reactions of each of these ladies. And Bronwyn goes, but if you want to get away with a little mess, and one day you want to get away with a little mess, then all of you are going to have to let me get away with a little mess myself. And that includes Heather. And she points behind her because Heather is like 2 feet behind her. And Heather's like, what? Huh? Me, Heather? And Bronwyn in a talking head goes, Lisa and I are reaching a crossroads. This is a crack that's forming, and I am very nervous about this crack. Lisa in the scene goes, Bronwyn, I'm sorry that you didn't feel supported by me. I try always to support my friends and to stand up for what I think is right. I think it's interesting dynamics, though, and it's new for me. Bronwyn continues in a talking head, this feels like a crack that could destabilize my friendship with Lisa. Lisa goes, I didn't know that you left with feelings that weren't resolved. And Bronwyn just looks at her like, girl, what are you talking about? Come on. Say what? And so there's a pause. And then Bronwyn goes, you have Heather yelling about a conversation I had with you and Heather, right? And at any point in time, you could have said, I know Bronwyn very well, and that's not how that conversation was intended. And you don't need to defend me. I can defend myself. But you could have ended it, and you didn't bother to. And Lisa goes, yeah, I did. Lisa in a talking head goes, I don't get where this is coming from. I did defend her. And we flash back to, once again, after the ropes course, and Lisa is at that table, and she is talking to Maylee. And Lisa's going, it's the different way people talk too. Like Bronwyn speaks a different way than you or Whitney or even me. Lisa goes, I don't know what she wanted me to do. Throw a glass for her? And then we flash back to the first episode with the Bezos party where Lisa's, snarling at Whitney. And you fucking said, I fucking slept with somebody I didn't fucking sleep with. And Lisa Barlow in the talking head goes, I only do that when I'm defending myself. God, how do you not love Lisa Barlow? I only do that when I'm defending myself. Bronwyn says, it felt like you were egging her on. I wasn't egging her on. No. And then Meredith jumps in and goes, well, I don't think she was because I was sitting right across from her. But more importantly, have you heard of this website, Alibaba? So Lisa's like, yeah, thanks, Meredith. I wasn't egging her on. And Bronwyn goes, she stayed completely out of it, which is fine, but you wouldn't like it if I stayed out of it, Lisa. You wouldn't like it. It would have been a different ending for me if you had accepted and been like, all of us were talking. I did say that. But you are ranting and raving about everybody. You could have said, I'm Bronwyn's friend. Bronwyn's new to the group. Give her ass a chance. I did say that. And I didn't say it like that. I didn't say it like you. And Bronwyn's like, I felt like it was a conversation. And Lisa, Heather kind of scoots up, and Lisa's like, Heather, we're talking about the conversation we had in the car and how Bronwyn feels about me not jumping in at the table. And Bronwyn goes, I mean, I didn't have that conversation in a vacuum. I'll tell you that. You said stuff. I did not want to put you on blast like that. No, sorry. Heather goes, I did not want to put you on blast like that. And Bronwyn goes, Heather, you did put me on blast. I know you're saying you didn't mean to, but you did, and you came at me real hard and real strong. We need to get correct about a couple of things about how we're going to have a friendship. And Heather is leaning her chin down. She's like, we need to get correct. You dare approach me, the star of Salt Lake City? Have you heard of a little thing called receipts, proof, timeline? I am the author of that sentence, and you tell me to come to correct? And Bronwyn's like, yes. And then Heather in a talking head seems like completely a whirling dervish. She's like, oh, we're going to come correct about a few things, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think because I'm a straight shooter and Bronwyn is a badass. She's trying to imitate Bronwyn. And Heather goes, if anyone needs to come correct in this situation, it's Bronwyn about the bullshit thing she said about everyone in the room, including Whitney. I'm not falling for it, madam. I don't know, man. Her talking heads are falling flat for me, but I don't know. Anyways, Bronwyn in the scene goes, I want to be on the same page as you if we're in a relationship. I felt like you made it seem very one-sided. The issue I had with Lisa is that she kind of just sat there, let it feel very one-sided. And Heather goes, neither one of us got together with Whitney to deny anything that happened in the car. Well, I know you didn't. And Heather goes, but you did. And Bronwyn goes, I did not. I actually said those things to Whitney when she and I talked. We flash back once again to that scene with Bronwyn and Whitney, and Bronwyn telling Whitney, well, it wasn't like you were not, completely in the right. And it was quite a moment to be like, do you want to meet the healed me? And they're both laughing about it, Whitney and Bronwyn. But, Bronwyn goes, it was iconic. It was iconic. Heather in this scene goes, do you think I'm crazy for being surprised by Whitney saying that you were completely supportive after the day before? We had that complete laugh riot behind her back. Oh God, guys, can we bring humor? Can we bring joking about people back? Bronwyn says, I have no experience with Whitney. I don't know her. I've only seen her in that event, or I saw her fight with Mary. And Heather goes, okay, well, I'm going to tell you. For you to have no experience with Whitney, you had very strong, pretty cruel things to say about her with no experience about her. And Bronwyn goes, as were you. You said, and Heather's like, you were throwing down shade after shade after shade. And Bronwyn goes, I am shady. Yeah, Bronwyn, I'm Slim Shady. Yeah, I'm the real shady. I'm Bronwyn. I'm rich. Whitney is looking at this whole conversation, and Whitney goes, I love that Heather's digging her heels in. I love that Heather's digging her heels in and defending me, but Heather has major trust issues, especially after last year. It's that immediate knee-jerk reaction of new person can't trust you. And I think that she is displacing that mistrust onto Bronwyn. Makes sense to me. Heather tells Bronwyn, do you think that's fair, though, that you say different things to different people and present a different angle, to each group? Come on, man. And Bronwyn's like, you said that I laughed at Whitney when both of you said to me, Whitney plays that up. You both said that to me when she wants to and downplays it when she doesn't. And there's just there's pauses. And then we flash back to the Bezos party where Lisa, after Whitney left, goes, that was so manipulative. She was user trauma. You can't call her out for her lies because she's healing and traumatized. And we see Heather in that scene go, hello, thank you. Whitney sucks. Bronwyn says in this scene, you two are her long-ass friends. Long-ass friends? I've never heard that term. Does she actually legitimately mean they both have long asses or just mean a long time? You two are her long-ass friends, and that's not worse? Bomb dropped. Bronwyn in a talking head goes, I think it's interesting that no one wants to note that we are all doing this. I'm not the only one. Everyone here is talking about everyone else. It's not going to stop unless we all realize that. I'm not the root of the problem. I'm just the best dressed part of the problem. Boom! Bronwyn. Also, in this last talking head, she's dressed like Harley Quinn or something. It's there's a lot happening, and I'm loving all of it. And the makeup itself is part of the whole look. The makeup is so layered and so many different colors. I don't know a lot about makeup, but this looks in depth. This looks in depth. And that is the end of this episode. We end with Heather and Bronwyn and Lisa just in this Mexican standoff staring at each other. We hear Heather's voice next time on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And we see Whitney at I think the drag show, and Whitney's like, "We're gonna have a dance off." And we see the crowd cheering, and we see Mary dancing, Lisa dancing, and then we see somebody with a Miller High Life at the Miller High Life Brewing Factory, and he goes, "This is the champagne of beers." And Mary drinks it and goes, "Ooh, I like it." Man, is Mary becoming my favorite character? Then they play some Olympic event on the ice that I always forget the name of. And then we see Heather talking to Whitney. And Heather says, "Meredith said that people are talking about your business Prism." And Whitney goes, "That is fucked up." And then we go to Angie K fighting with Lisa. And Angie K's like, "You don't like," and Lisa cuts her off and goes, "I don't give a fuck what you do," and screams at her. "Don't do that to me, you fucking bitch. Don't do that. You." And then Angie K stands up and goes, "I'm fucking Greek. You've been a fuck." And she goes, "You've been a fucking bitch to me at times." And she points her finger out like this. And like she's wearing like this silver, like there this, yeah, silver cross and like neck bangle. Like there's a whole look happening. It's like, "You've been a fucking bitch to me at times. I'm Greek." And Lisa goes, "You just changed our relationship with that. You just changed it." You guys, what an episode. What an evening we had together. Guys, I hope you have a fabulous Friday and a great start to your weekend. Come back on Saturday for the OC recap. We're going to go hard on that. I got a big day tomorrow. Then my dad and my nephew are coming in on Saturday, so that's exciting. And that's it. I hope you have, yeah. No, we'll say that tomorrow. No, I'll say it today. It's Friday. So go home, make yourself a drink, eat something good, talk to your friends, tell them you love them, kiss somebody only with their permission, dance like nobody's watching, read something, watch good TV, and maybe watch something that's not reality TV. And I will talk to you bright and early on Saturday morning. And yeah, I don't want to say goodbye, but bye.